Hi guys. I I know you guys are you guys are live, and I always wait till mid sentence to go from the starting soon screen to the actual interview, because I'm hoping that one day I will catch somebody, like some content creator, like in the dead middle of something so weird that with so little context that it will get the entire fandom ratioed out of existence. Anyways, hello, welcome to SEAL Team 7. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of structured conversations that last 20 minutes tops. And anywho's, um, it's a big week, the beginning of a big week for Final Fantasy VII. We've got in Final Fantasy in general, we've got Intergrade coming out. We've got, and that includes Intermission, and we also already have 1,500 bits from Arzomnia and a subscription from Complex, who was an incredible guest yesterday on Final Fan TV's podcast. And that was very fun to watch. I recommend you guys go check that out. Um, we've got Intergrade coming out, and there are, there are some copies of Intergrade that, showed up on some people's doorsteps. Nyla gifted me some subs, and I am so grateful. I want you guys to know I have some new emotes. Um, if you guys check out, they were developed by a fan, as a matter of fact, and they are incredible. And I have even more coming. I tried to add them this morning, but because Twitch doesn't think I'm legit enough, they do like a review process, and so I need to prove that I'm not a very sophisticated AI before they'll just immediately give me those. But hey, it just takes time. Like the Turing test is just me talking to Jeff Bezos and like shaking him, saying, "I'm real, I'm real." Okay, enough of that. Okay, so this is off to an incredibly cohesive and coherent start. So, anyways, we got Intergrade coming out. We've got Intermission, which is part of Intergrade, and that is the Yuffie DLC. And as some of you know, Intergrade was delivered by Jeff Bezos early to a few households. And so some people have started Intergrade, but quite brilliantly, Square Enix made Intermission only unlockable via download. So even though Intergrade does include Intermission, it includes a code, and the code will unlock the download. So I think the idea behind that was to prevent early leaks, and it's kind of a smart idea. So the Intergrade footage that's come out so far has just been of the base game, but it has been promising. And in terms of, I won't spoil specifically the major detail that was leaked from it, but it wasn't a story detail, but it was something, we'll say, that was bothering the fandom, and that has been addressed. So that's exciting news. We've also got E3 and Summer Games Fest this week. On the same day that Intergrade technically launches, we've got the kickoff event of E3, which is technically by a different company. It's Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, but I guess they're affiliated now. I don't know how it all works. If you want that kind of industry stuff, ask Final Fan TV. He's got that all down. And we know that Square Enix is going to be part of that lineup. There's been a bunch of rumors about a new Final Fantasy game. We know 16's probably going to be in the mix. There's a chance we might see something 7 related, although we don't really know what that is. You know, and so it's going to be a big week. So we're really excited. And I'm really excited because I finally have the host of my favorite Final Fantasy podcast that I listen to every time it comes out, and it's carried me through some very long drives, and that is my esteemed guest Kairosis, who, in addition to being an excellent host for an excellent podcast, also has a tremendous singing voice. I will link in the video, in the VOD and in the chat, a link to Kai's cover of Hollow, which is better than the original. I'll say it right here. You can ratio me, I don't care. That's just the truth. It's the objective truth. That's right. That's right. Right. And there's nothing as objective as art, you know? Only universal truths in art. And I gave him his introduction, and I will allow him to introduce himself also. But I'm going to get through the rest of my introductions, my long-winded introductions, where I try and make weird little meta jokes. We'll start with Vyzzuvazzadth, and I'm really proud of myself for being able to pronounce that better than Sleepezi. And he and I also have Sleepezi. And in all seriousness, Vyzzuvazzadth and Sleepezi, I think, make the most detailed analysis from two different perspectives of the lore of Final Fantasy VII by a mile. Vyzzuvazzadth and his community, Cosmo Canyon Observatory, are incredibly detailed from like a spatial and almost engineering perspective. They find details just from the Intergrade breakdown trailer, for instance. The very first Intergrade trailer that showed a little bit of Yuffie's footage, Cosmo Canyon was able to piece together pretty precisely where everything was taking place, and I was really impressed with that. And I've since religiously watched everything that he and Cosmo Canyon release. He this Saturday, so yesterday, released part of his new video series, and I'm really excited where that's going, and I'm going to let him explain that to you. And then we've got Sleepezi, who, in addition to being just a great all-around friend and a tremendous artist, is known for both the complete story of 5, or the structure of 5 video series, which is a comprehensive breakdown of Remake. And he also has since created two new magnum opus videos. One called Aerith Dies, which we don't know. Yeah, Aerith. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's their fault, you know. So, anyways, Sleepezi, known victim blamer, has created 2 great. Oh wow! Oh my goodness! It's mostly been me talking. this whole time anyways. I've just been talking over them. And and why it's muted is because I think I'm muted. I think it's a legacy for me, some like rage muting somebody at some other point in the previous convo. Anyways, so Sleepezi has most recently released his Intergrade video, which is which may end up being longer than Intergrade, but it is a extremely detailed breakdown of Intergrade, and I strongly recommend you watch it. So now we'll let them talk. Hopefully they can hear you, and we're going to start with the esteemed host of the Reunion podcast and brilliant vocalist, Kairosis. They still can't hear you. Hold on. I don't know what's happening. Guys. No, you did it. No, I have the wrong output device. Okay. Say words now, guys.
No.
Hello.
I feel betrayed. This is the
words.
You're gonna pull this again on me.
Words.
Can you guys hear him?
Yay.
I never felt so.
Okay, guys. I want to blame Twitch for this. I'm saving. I can hear you guys.
You guys later.
Guys. Okay, can you hear him?
Hello.
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 So who can you hear?
Yeah. How many of us can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you guys hear?
Write-
Can you guys hear
write
me?
names. Who can you hear? Everyone. Oh, nice. That's good. 3? Which ones?
So how there? But let's wait. There's a delay. There's a delay. This is going great, guys.
What?
You know, I don't actually know.
I think
it was
Clark is
I don't know what's happening
taking
at this point.
all of the pieces of his
Okay,
computer
hold on, guys.
and
Oh,
rearrange
you're
them.
back.
Yay! Oh my god!
No.
Hey!
I can hear you guys. I don't know. Can you hear all of us? This is the weirdest thing that's.
We're so sorry. They can't hear that apology. Now, yes. This is the strangest game of like.
Is it really Twitch or is OBS the culprit here?
I think it's probably a thing on. It's got to be an OBS thing, a sound setting, or some sort of mixing on Clark's end as it's going out, because we keep hearing either. Yeah, I hear Viz and Sleepezi and probably as well Cry. So that's so funny. I feel like what we're doing is the equivalent of like trying to hang a painting or a picture on the wall for Twitch chat, and the stream is telling us like how off angle it is from left to right, that we have to adjust it. They're like, no left, and then it's like left, and then it's like, no, go back to the right. Just not exactly perfect each time.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's the sign that Clark is clearly given up. Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Not so Mr. David Goldstein or Goldstein is almost killing you, Clark.
So while
welcome.
While Clark is
welcome, David.
Not here.
Yeah, welcome.
We'll take over the show. So while the sound guy is taking care of things, would you like to continue, or we can talk about something else just passively until this is resolved, if you'd like.
Yeah, let's just finish up our introductions, I guess, until Mr. Babyseal manages to fix the thing.
Reset the stream.
Whatever the thing is.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, turn it off and on again, but not the computer.
Just shut the house off.
Sleepezi.
Just shut the house off. Hey,
somebody said, just put it in rice.
Oh, yeah.
Just put the whole computer in a bowl of rice.
Just if you can get the largest mound of rice, you will not only save the stream, but you will also have a Guinness Book of World Records.
Probably, yeah.
Record held. I work in live TV and deal with this stuff all the time. You deal with a host dancing in the background with no sound on. That's pretty.
We only see the forehead and the hair. The rest is gone.
He literally has stood up and left. I'm not trying to like put him on blast too much. He stood up and left.
So
yeah.
So
all right.
Do you need a towel?
So here's the issue. All right, here's the issue. Okay, I'm gonna break this all down for you. At this
don't
point,
break it down. Don't break it.
Look, at this point, chat. Can you hear everybody? Okay. All 67 of you, I thank you for your patience. And I would like to blame literally anybody else for this whole debacle. But in the interest of fairness, the party solely responsible for this is my cat.
I was about to say your cat. Seriously.
Or you could have sworn the words that were going to leave your mouth were Sleepezi, and I was like, I'll just take that. But the cat is much better.
I have a physical cable that creates my my loop back for Discord, because I was having trouble with the virtual audio cable, and I've had some home rearrangements. I had some guests, and so I had to displace my cats, and so they've made this their home, and in doing so, loosened that cable. And it's a cable that has so little impact on like
we were just talking about this.
Yeah,
we were just talking about loose cables, and it happened. Does anybody not see the strangeness in this? The irony of that? Anyway,
I'm not editing this out for the VOD. I just want you guys to know. I'm just not.
Yeah.
There's
part
no
of the
such thing
organic
as a
fun.
coincidence.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
That
I don't know
objective
what
art
you
is
guys
about.
said. I don't know what you guys said, but I'm sure it was great. Did you guys
It
introduce
was
yourselves?
no, we didn't know what was going to be happening with the stream, so we just let you figure it out. And we
I
also
will
just
cut a good chunk of this out for the VOD. I'm sorry, guys.
we also
But
were. It's okay. We were also very excited to talk about your dancing and the overall professional manner in which you stood up and left. I'm just kidding.
I
We know that you're
I
working
do
hard.
a raid command to
Nice.
Max Dude's dead
Hey,
channel.
Tuna.
Say like I'm over. It's over.
There you
Yeah. Okay. Kai,
Okay.
can you give us a proper intro?
Absolutely. You already did an amazing intro, so just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. And I just want to say thank you again, Babyseal, for continuing to plug my cover. It just means a lot to me, and I'm so glad you liked it, and I'm glad that it's been pretty well received, actually. So thank you guys so much for the positive feedback for that. And yeah, so I am the host of the Reunion Podcast. We are a Final Fantasy VII and 7 Remake podcast, and we do post episodes. Pretty much, it's been like bi-monthly, like once or twice a month now. But you know, we're getting super busy. There's a lot of information coming out about Intergrade and Intermission. So we're super happy to be here today and to have this in-depth conversation with you, both Sleepezi and Babyseal. Because Sleepezi, like I've been a fan for a very long time, and I actually haven't spoken with you, I don't think,
Yeah,
in
this is the first
person. So
time.
this is amazing. So thank you so much, and I'm just so excited to be here.
Hey,
It's
thank
also
you
good
so
having
much,
you.
Kai. And I will be posting a link to that holo cover in chat shortly. I would have played it, but I get DMC strikes when I do. So,
Oh God, no, it's okay.
so I will post the link to that chat. So next, let's introduce our esteemed analyzer, Vyzzuvazzadth of Cosmo Canyon Observatory. Why don't you tell us about what you do and most specifically about your newest video series?
Sure. So in general, I happen to start just analyzing trailers and screenshots mostly, like very in-depth, every pixel, every frame, every location, everything. I even mapped out the Mako storage from the few shots we got during the Scorpion Sentinel fight presentation. Like the actual map in one video, and turned out to be pretty much accurate. Proud of that. But initially, it started off with me wanting to like provide a take on where to split the story into the multiple parts, because none of those videos I watched and takes online really satisfied me. So I took it upon myself, but then it's just evolved into analyzing everything, and here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And tell us about Saturday's release.
Yes, so Saturday's release. It was a long time coming. I had the script ready, or at least the notes for the script ready for a long time. But we had to first cover the Whispers, then cover Aerith's Secret and all of that, and now it's time for Cloud and Sephiroth. I took them both into one big analysis package because many scenes involve both, and I have had to, I would have had to like repeat myself across videos, so I decided to make a huge one. And according to the script length, it's probably gonna be like 3 hours and 20 minutes or something. So we decided to split it up into, wait for it, 10 parts.
Oh
10
gosh.
because my editor would kill me otherwise.
Oh my God.
So prepare for like around 20-25 minute chunks or something. So I really hope we have like not more than 2 weeks between releases, like 1 to 2 week releases in between. Depends on how much our editor Removel has time for it. So the next one should be out within 2 weeks. I hope a little bit less, but we'll see. And the first one is already pretty well received as far as I can tell.
Mm.
And it's basically the same. It has the same structure as the Whispers and the Aerith video. First off, it's some setup, some introduction, what it's about, some extraneous analysis and information, and then now we're just going through the game, analyzing all the scenes where both like Cloud's memory glitches, pardon, or Sephiroth's appearance happens. And then at the end, we'll answer all the questions posed in the beginning. And at the end, very end, another crackpot theory.
Ooh,
Yeah,
excited
Excited.
about that
that's the plan.
crackpot
But
theory.
it will take a while. But it will be worthwhile. I hope, but I also promise you that.
Well, I appreciate the promise, and I have no doubt in my mind that that it'll be worth the watch. And I think the cool thing about predictions, especially ones that are really well grounded, is that even if they don't come true, it still was, the journey was kind of worth it. And
Yep.
I'm excited about that. Okay, so last but certainly not least is my esteemed brother in arms, Sir Sleepezi. And I'm sorry, I got distracted by a very strange question in chat. So yeah, which I won't answer. Anyways, Sleepezi, would you like to say words?
I would love to say words.
Do it.
Specifically to you and no one else. We'll just mute the chat again. Have your cat trip over a wire for a second. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Sleepezi. I make Final Fantasy VII remake content and go over the entire compilation in detail to try and inform anybody watching about how those stories from the compilation are sort of weaving themselves into the story of remake going forward. I just released a quote unquote behemoth of content in one video, which goes over Intergrade and all of the things that I am looking forward to seeing, things that I noticed, and hopefully just call some shots before it comes out and see what actually comes of it. But a lot of talk about Deep Ground, Avalanche especially, and their involvement with the story. And then, as Vyzzuvazzadth put, there's the crackpot theory at the end of certain things happening, certain characters showing up from the compilation. Rufus, as mentioned in the chat, and also Genesis. So, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing on the 10th. Yeah, super stoked to be here. Very glad to also be talking to Cry for the first time, and always fun to be talking to Viz and Babyseal as well. So I'm extremely. I just can't believe it. Like, I can't believe that we're about to get it. Like, it doesn't even feel real. I don't remember the Deep Ground thing happening or not anymore. It's just some sort of weird dream that happened that I woke up and I was like, oh, that's happening. I'm going to wake up and there's going to be a much more sensible trailer for what Intergrade is, where, I don't know, we fight something and we never go to Deep Ground and they retcon the entire thing. But that seems to be happening on the 10th. So I'm very excited.
Yes. And so on the 10th, a lot of people are wondering, are we going to be playing Intergrade? And I know that I will be streaming Intergrade the moment. I'll be streaming episode Intermission the moment it's available, which right now is looking like 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time. And on the 9th. So I think that is and depending on the length, and it's unclear what the length is, This is the largest DLC download Square has ever pushed. The DLC itself, the actual intermission download, has been listed at 8 gigs, which doesn't seem like a lot, but considering it's mostly reused assets and it's about double the size of episode Ignis, which is their previous record, it could mean that the length is significant. Especially factoring in the PlayStation 5's pretty substantial compression. Although in terms of a data waster, a lot of people have noted that Remake was much larger than it should have been. I don't really know what the technical. I don't know what the basis for that. I've just heard it and it's never bothered me and I've never looked into it. But what people are saying is that it could be a pretty substantial DLC, and if it is, then maybe I'll take a break. But if it's let's say 6 hours or less, planning on playing it straight through right at launch. And I think Sleepezi may or may not be doing the same. I don't think he's decided yet, but either way, you can tune into both of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I actually will be, because the only thing that is I was gonna do it later, like not on the moment that it comes out, but because this week is going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
there's no other time to do it,
right.
So it's either at launch or not at all. Because then there's streaming for like E3. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to be checking out, so I will also be doing that as well.
And I know that Ray Kaufman is too. Blitz will be, and chances are we're going to have a when everybody that's agreed to be involved is done with the game, we're going to have a wrap up SEAL Team 7 episode, kind of like to get very fresh reactions to intermission, and it's unclear kind of the timing of that because we don't know how long the DLC is and how long it's going to take everybody, but consider it to happen within 24 to 48 hours of launch. And then how about you two? Kai, I actually don't know if you got yourself a PS5.
I did.
Yes!
I got one.
Yeah.
It was the latest Amazon drop. Actually, it was I had missed, I think it was Walmart and Best Buy, because I had actually like slept in on the weekend. I think it was last weekend or the weekend before that. And I rolled over and I grabbed my phone and it was like notification, PS5 in stock. Oh, out of stock. And I was like, oh God, again, like the day that I choose to sleep in. And then immediately, like right after, it was like, oh, back in stock at Amazon. So I was like, oh God, like, anyway, I got it. So I'm super excited to be able to play Intermission, and definitely on launch. I'm going to be playing it first. I'm not going to be streaming it, unfortunately. Like I've said previously, we are an audio-only podcast for the time being, but obviously we're both open to go on other people's, casts or live streams to talk about it. I'm going to be busy playing it. I want to beat the entire thing. And then Viz and I are probably going to be recording an episode for the podcast, which will be for our first impressions, basically. So we're not going to be doing like a full spoiler cast until a few weeks after that. And I think the week after that, actually, we do have our episode with 3 of the voice actors from Intermission. So we've got Daniel Ammerman, we've got David Goldstein, who was here earlier. So shout out to David for joining us today. That's amazing.
Wow.
And and Griffin Puetsu. So he's going to be, they are the voice of the characters for Avalanche HQ. So they are going to be on an episode. So that's coming out on the 23rd. And obviously with, everything with Summer's Game Fest and E3, it's going to be insane, guys. I don't know. I'm just not going to sleep. And also I still have a job, like outside of doing all of this stuff that's also like super busy right now, in June, right? So it's gonna be a lot. I don't know, man. Anyway, hopefully I'll survive.
Dude, I'm practicing right now. This is my second day of not sleeping, 100% working. The shapes are moving, but you just gotta let go and just ride that wave until a week or two is
I
over,
know.
and you'll be fine.
Just get till the end and then sleep for like a week or two.
Exactly, hibernation, dude. That's what I gotta leave it up to. We can have a napping stream. Is that allowed on Twitch? We can sleep. Let's just do that. All
I
the
think
content
that's a
creators are
category
gonna rent
now.
out. We're gonna
The
rent out a
last-
hotel. That would be great.
I was on Crane stream like a few weeks ago, and honestly, I think we finished at 4:30 in the morning. Like I'm on the East Coast, and honestly, I paid for that for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Like
Oof.
I was done. Like I don't think I haven't stayed up that late since. I'm not gonna tell you when, because then that'll just like age me. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so we're super excited. I can't wait, but definitely playing intermission first, and then I'm gonna go back and finish my hard playthrough on Intergrade. So,
God, it's wow. I'm just there's some people in chat and sort of echoing of your statement where people are like talking about how they're going to be playing this game, and I just can't believe that they're like everyone's going to be able to play this game soon. They're all going to be like, this game sucks so bad, and I don't know why I was even excited for it to begin with, or they're gonna love it to death. But I like personally like, and I don't want to like hijack your stream here, but just to get like a read on the room, like how excited are we for Deep Ground, Yuffie, and Avalanche stuff? Like overall, are we feeling like this is all gonna crash and burn, or are we thinking that this is gonna turn out okay? It's all gonna go well.
I mean, like, I just don't see how it can't go pretty well. It just doesn't seem like they would have at this point. They would have to add bad things, because really all we've seen has been totally fine. Like, it doesn't have a negative impact on the lore. Like, it's very apropos. It's very like respectful to Dirge in a way that isn't like. I mean, we'll just say it like excises a lot of the bad elements of Dirge. It makes the Dirge stuff feel like remake. Yeah, I mean, they would have to work really hard at adding stuff that makes Deep Ground dumb. And they have hired top-notch voice actors, and this is a character-driven story, so I can't imagine it going bad. But I could be wrong, but we always talk about it on here that this is really what remake strength is these characters, the characters and how they're portrayed. These are all little character stories, and it's pretty hard to ruin that in the space of time that intermission is is presenting to us, in my opinion. But Viz,
I can only echo your sentiment here.
And speaking of Viz, there was a time on a Final Fan TV podcast that you did mention that you were the biggest baby in the room, and you don't like to get skipped. And we did skip you. We did skip you on the PlayStation 5 playthrough. I know you got a PS5.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
What is your plan on that? It's okay, Sleepezi.
Not sure if I can let that one slide yet.
Oh, all right.
Whoa.
I am a baby after all, so I have to.
This has got himself a PS6 now, guys. He can't talk about what Nintendo got him just yet. And now I'm intrigued. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm excited to see whatever the outcome of that mystery is.
No, but my current plan is, as soon as it's available and I'm done with work, I'll just be playing and locally recording it for footage that I have just stuff to rewatch. And I'm not sure yet if I should just let my mic run and that I can just comment whenever I feel like commenting and then kind of cut together a highlight video or something like that, maybe.
I think that's so, like, not to not to jump on that, but I think that was one of my plans too, is
Mhm.
like just have like a separate audio recording for the game and then
Yeah.
a separate audio recording for like your own audio, so that when you don't want anything, you know, you can just use the footage as is, or you can just use the recording as is and add your own sound or whatever. I think that usually works out.
Yeah. And it's also not really a let's play and no pressure to always talk and always entertain, so I can just play. And if I see something that's of interest or so, just comment, and then I see where I commented, and it's pretty easy to kind of create a highlight thing.
Mm.
And that way I can play like I want, but also provide my reactions. That's my current plan. But we'll see next Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday.
It's it's
It is. It's somehow Thursday.
around the cusp, dude. This is crazy. Yeah, just enjoy it for you. Don't worry about streamer content. That's what Sunamods is doing for himself too. I read that before.
Yeah.
He's just gonna play the game for himself. Which, if I think all of us maybe, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I would have absolutely not even watched any of the trailers if I was just gonna do this for me. But now that I'm making like content and stuff like that, there's like that urge to be like, oh well, I can't like be last in line for this, like I have to be first and know what I'm doing immediately. So Sleepezi will become the undisputed champion of Fort Condor, the game that I love so much, and I'm so glad he's in the game. I really appreciate
yeah. And okay, so what is this stream even about? And that's a great question, but it honestly, like, it's hard for it to be about anything else, you know, like this is coming soon, and like real soon, and I think we might even see some kind of leaks earlier than we should. It's just a way that things happen. They seem to have at least intermission pretty locked down, but I still think review copies might actually be a thing. Review codes might come out for intermission specifically. But if those were to drop, they usually drop, you know, a couple days before, 48 hours before. And so I am going to kind of be off the internet until launch time. You know, I'll do my best to like get whatever information I can that will guarantee I can stream. You know, I'll make sure the game is preloaded, everything like that. But I too have had this weird kind of like, well, I want to enjoy the game. Am I going to ruin my ability to organically enjoy the game if I'm presenting it to all these people and stuff like that? And you know, I kind of weigh that against the sort of unfortunate reality that PlayStation 5s are an absolute commodity just because of the way things are. And I'm not posting blame on anything or anybody. Like, it's hard to get a PS5 for whatever reason. And so a lot of people really, really want to experience Intergrade, but you know, can't for a long time, and they don't want to have it spoiled. So I want to give those people an opportunity to experience it as soon as possible. And also, you know, the game can have some difficulty spikes that are, you know, really can be sort of off-putting at first, and especially once you get to hard mode, and if there's locked content with hard mode, or and I would like to be able to create guides for like Vice, you know, as soon as possible. And so that's kind of why I'm gonna probably right off the bat be sharing everything that I have and make everything as safe for people that are just like browsing YouTube. I'm not going to post like, you know, Genesis kills Vice or anything like that. You know, like I'm not going to do anything.
Intergrade.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything spoilery, but I am going to be, you know, spoiling stuff on Twitch and Twitter. And I'm just going to be honest, like, right here, right now, I'm just kind of like sitting here, you know, with three people who I really respect in the fandom, absolutely losing my mind over the fact that we have the voice of Billy Bob, wink wink, in our chat. So,
don't put him in that position. don't do that to the man.
I'm just kidding. You don't have to say nothing, David. But no, I'm super excited to have you here.
Blink twice if you are, but don't type it.
He probably has no idea what we're talking about. But no, I'm really excited that we have this really cool community that's come together just to like a thing, and even if this ends up being like literally what we saw in the trailers and then like one other thing that's barely anything, that's still pretty cool, so I'm optimistic about the way this is all going to work out. That being said, let's talk about the things we don't know. I don't want to get too spoilery, but I don't want, and I know that Viz in particular is trying to avoid some spoiler stuff, but he did mention that he knew about the soundtrack and that the soundtrack had sort of spoilery stuff. So in chat, what I want you guys to do, please don't mention in chat any of the actual titles of the songs. But what I think we can talk about is that there's a bunch of question marks.
Yeah.
In that soundtrack list.
Yeah, they didn't even have song titles.
They just didn't give song titles. They just made question marks. And
just a third disc worth of like not titles.
Okay,
of, like,
so I do think the third disc is probably going to be like remixes and stuff because some of the titles get duplicated.
Sure, right, but I think it's the last end of disc 2 and then the start of disc 3 that are all just like
question marks.
Just fucking missing. What is that about?
So,
and you do know Sephiroth is marked as question mark Sephiroth, like the one in chapter 18 by the Ultimania. So are those all Sephiroth tracks?
Yes,
they are all new remixes of Sephiroth.
They all are just One Winged Angel. Like we got the Polka remix. We've got
If Birth of a God shows up, I won't be upset. I don't care if he shows up in Birth of a God.
I will. I want Birth of the God to happen in the third game.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on Birth of a God.
There is for me as well. I can't let it go. It's my favorite song. So
I love 7 Seconds to the End so much as a track and remake.
Excellent.
And I was excited to have it, but at the same time I was like, oh man, imagine if they saved that, and so what can they save in its place? And I think Birth of a God is definitely where it's at. So I'll just get all three of your takes on the soundtrack. So the question I have for you is, in the soundtrack, in the unreleased titles, who do you think is doing our contemporary cover of Redemption by Gact?
I think Cryosis can't disclose that because he's under NDA contract. Disclose.
I would love that, by the way, Kai, if you just make more
I would love that.
Music.
That would be incredible.
there's like a English version of it that wasn't, it was like a fan version, but it's pretty good. I think you could do that. Oh, Birth of a God in chat, happy about being mentioned. You're welcome.
Oh yeah, Gay Metal or Gametal. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the brilliant remix or arranger, whatever.
Watch Genesis be Yosh. That's what Ali D in chat said. I wouldn't like super surprise me if they got another pop star to do it,
right?
But I think we can kind of clear up that there's this bizarre fan rumor that's it's like a decade old, It's even been spread by really heavy major streamers that I definitely want on the channel, so I'm not going to say their name. And it's that Genesis is out because Gact is not allowed. He doesn't want to be attached to the project anymore, and he won't give his likeness. And that has no source. Nobody's ever been able to provide a source for that. And Genesis as a character has occurred in Final Fantasy games as recently as last year. So there seems to be no actual roadblock, in case people were wondering about that, for Gact returning. But if they did recast Genesis, which is not something they typically do, they're very bad about doing that. They don't do that. Sometimes they would rather kill a character than recast them in anime, manga, and just its mangaka and seiyuu culture. So that is a possibility. But okay, about the soundtrack, what do you guys? What does that tell you? All these unknown tracks. What does that tell you guys?
Too much.
Okay.
100%. Too much stuff. I don't want to start. I'll let one of our pristine guests maybe start first, and I'll jump on the back.
Yeah,
maybe.
Kai, tell us.
I'm not sure actually. I checked the website, like for the track listing, obviously when they released, like they showed that it was released or whatever. It was, I think it's pre-order right now. I don't even think it's out. But I remember when the remake soundtrack came out and it had clips of every song. Yeah, I don't know if can you listen to these? Because I tried on my phone, but it wouldn't work. So I don't even know if there's clips of them. So I haven't like had a chance to listen. I also didn't want to spoil myself. But they did do this, I think, on the remake soundtrack as well. And potentially the song titles could have spoilers in them. So I think they're just being a little bit proactive and not putting the song titles there, which could give away story elements to intermission. So I don't know. I'm just open to receiving it for what it is. Like, I'm super excited. I think the soundtrack's going to be incredible. I was super happy with the music in remake, and I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest with you, but there's a few tracks there, like not any spoilers. There's a few tracks that do have song titles. That's kind of like kind of like yeah, they kind of are, I don't know, like red flags for me, or not red flags, but like, do you know what I mean? There's some kind of, I'm like, oh god, like I don't know if I should have read that or not, but anyway.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it, honestly. Like I don't really care. I watched all the trailers. I watched the extended gameplay, like 3 videos that we talked about a little bit earlier, and I'm just can't wait to play this. I think there's a lot more that we haven't seen yet, so I'm just really looking forward to playing it as soon as it comes out. Somebody asked previously, we did talk about this. We are going to be, well, for me, I'm going to be playing intermission first, then I'm going to be playing Intergrade from beginning to end, but on hard mode. But yeah, anyway, I don't know if that answers the question or not, but
yeah, of course it does. And look, I mean, I think it's really important to not spoil stuff that, and there were some complaints last time with remake that some of the stuff got really spoiled. That wasn't like kind of my experience. Like I watched the trailer before it came out, and then I played the game and was still extremely surprised. So I don't know, but I do know that it feels like they kind of learned their lesson, or that they're trying to give us just enough to know that, hey, we're going kind of deep ground, but we're not telling you how far. And then in terms of the actual soundtrack, like the little bits that have been shown off, it's like these are really complete tracks, and they have a very different feel, and it's kind of incredible how much work actually went into the production of a soundtrack for a DLC. Already, some of the songs, like half of one song that was shown off in the actual soundtrack trailer is potentially going to be my favorite on the entire soundtrack. What do you think, Viz?
First of all, this soundtrack. I didn't listen to previews, but I listened to the shorter version of gameplay demonstration, like the one without commentary. I think you could also download it from some site. I forgot how it's called. But I only listened to it. I played the video, but listened to it just to hear the soundtrack. And of course, it was the same as in the trailer, but also a new one, probably the boss version or something, which also had hints of Yuffie's theme in it. And the soundtrack is so good.
It's unbelievably good. I'm listening to it unironically right now. It's so good.
It's really, really good. Maybe it even one of them even tops Airbuster, but it's really hard not to crack.
Mm.
And as for those question marks, I can only tell you what I hope for. Something to do with Sephiroth, even the hints. Something to do with Rufus, and something to do with old guard Avalanche. Like characters we haven't seen for quite some time, and only in one game. They don't need to appear, but I wouldn't be mad if there were hints of Elpha's theme somewhere.
And that would be, you're just talking my language now.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Oh,
well,
God.
Yeah, tell us about that, Sleepezi. What do you want from this soundtrack? And give some context, because not a lot of people know about the mobile game that nobody has played.
Nobody's played. I will say, like, I'll get to that, but as far as like the soundtrack is concerned, there's so a lot of what is titled are things that I'm pretty sure is all in footage, right? Or things that could be almost assumed could happen. So nothing is like an amazing spoiler. There's a couple of things that get a little crazy and towards the end, which you would think is all that there is, but like as far as like the ending or whatever's coming after, but then there's like, I don't know, I'm like 7-8 different question marks after like those bigger events that we kind of already know. So I'm just thinking to myself, all right, so there's this whole, and this is something that we can talk about a little bit, is that we know a lot about the beginning of the game. We don't know a lot about how they get to exactly where they're getting. We know that they end up in a certain place. We don't know how necessarily. We know how maybe they start getting there. We don't know how, I'm being vague because I don't want to spoil too much. But then after that, we have like, okay, now they're in deep ground. And it's like, okay, well, what more could there possibly be after like X, Y, and Z fight? And apparently there is more. So I don't like everything on the track list is like hinting at, to me, like things that we've already been talking about and elaborating on. Like there's a track for Avalanche called Avalanche Head Family Theme, which sort of goes into, for me, Barrett talks about Nellie, Al, and Finn as like family, like brother, sister. There's like a lot of family themes of Avalanche and how they treat each other. So I want to see a lot of that sort of come out. But those are things that we've already sort of been able to theorize and elaborate on. Those are just looking into the subjects that have been introduced deeper. Where the difficulty here is that the question marks are like anything can happen in between those time frames. Like one thing that was mentioned before that I won't like disclose, there's Yuffie runs into somebody in some of the recent footage, and it's like, okay, that nobody was really expecting that to happen, and the footage is just like, oh, and we're done, we're not going to show any more than that. And it's like, okay, well, that's huge, and that could definitely lead into maybe some things that Viz was just talking about. as far as
Mhm.
Are you
character reveals.
talking about some certain dark cloaked figure?
Who is
Because
that? I don't
I
know.
saw a snippet on an article. The
Yeah,
article
Viz
that
did
goes
see
with
that,
this.
yeah.
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 I just wanted to make
That's what.
sure. Right. So that in particular could go so many different ways. And it's funny. I actually agree with both of our guests' points, which is that I don't care what happens at this point. I have already gotten everything I could possibly have asked for, and then at the same time, there are like desires to see things that I've been looking at and other content creators have been talking about, like Viz, where there are things that you just want to see happen. Like I want to see Rufus be revealed as the head of Avalanche, which is something I was asked to elaborate on. Is that in Before Crisis, Rufus is like one of the main pillars that makes Avalanche what it is. He funds them and he gives them insider information. Like he's like the arms dealer and the informant. Like he's a huge aspect of how like Avalanche becomes a threat. And there's a lot of evidence to support that he's kind of still involved up until this point in the original, which for me is like Rufus by far, and maybe this is a jumping off point. Rufus is 100% like a perfect example of how this story is just killing it. Like Rufus is such an interesting character in the compilation where people might hyper focus on like Dirge of Cerberus's writing is crap, or there's like a bunch of things that people look at in the compilation and just say, man, this really ruined like this, and this. Rufus is the shining example of like compilation done right attitude from Square Enix. It's like
Yeah,
we really fleshed this character out and made him into something way more interesting and way more exciting. And the thing about, if you're not familiar with that Rufus, you wouldn't really tell that that much of a difference from playing remake, perhaps. But this Rufus has compilation Rufus written literally all over every single belt on his body. So I want those details to come out and be explained. I want more Avalanche stuff. And I hate to say it, but as we're getting closer to the announcement or the release of this game, I want Yuffie more than anything else to just become like she's sort of a joke character to a lot of people. She's a staple in the party, but I really want this character to just be the most interesting that she can possibly be. And it's all on her, and she's like the delivery system of this story. And I just want to see her grow. This is a perfect opportunity, and I think a great choice for a character to be the flagship of this, because people like Red 13. I know people were talking about that. People were talking about like other characters that could be like the star of their own DLC. Yuffie is, I think, widely regarded as the weakest character in the group. And I think giving her this not only shows that it's like, hey, like here's like this new introduction to this character. It's like, we're going to show you that we can do so much with characters that you don't care about and make them into something that much bigger. Like Yuffie, Vice, and Nero are all characters that you could probably say are like the least interesting to people in a spectrum of things. And I just think that I want to come out of this loving Yuffie. I want to see more of her. I want to be a Yuffie fan at the end of this. And I think they're setting up for a lot of her character development in this, some hard-hitting story stuff. So I'm super stoked. Super stoked.
Agreed.
yeah,
And
same here.
yeah.
Hi, David.
Hi,
He's like,
David.
I gotta go. Be kind to Billy Bob on Thursday, please.
We will definitely be kind to Al, David, and thank you so much for being here.
To Al.
Thank you so much.
It means just everything to us. It's a big deal. I'm
Yeah.
really excited. Familiar with
Can't
some
wait.
of your other work, and I'll be reaching out to you, and we'll get you on the show. Thank you. And then also welcome Molly Bunny, who I'm definitely gonna have on this show as well soon too. Please check her streams out. I get the sense that she is gonna be a star. And I don't say that. I don't say that for a lot of my people. Like none of these people. Just
You've
kidding.
never said that about me or any of us in this room, so that's a huge
not
compliment.
true. That's not true. I love all of you. But so, and she brings up the point that I think we're all getting at, which is that, well,
Oh, God.
Wutai
Yeah,
is
Wutai, definitely. Wutai was just a tourist attraction in the original game. Yuffie was just there and a funny lass, and she was the materia hunter, and that was basically it in the original game. Nothing else. A few cool reactions, especially when you had her in the party when Aerith died. But other than that, I really, 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 really want them to include her in every single aspect of this whole narrative of the whole game. And this Midgard part is probably the perfect way to introduce her, to set everything up and tell us, look, this is the character you knew, but it was only 10%. Now we get to the rest of the 90%. And here's what you will get for the next 2 or 3 full games.
I want the Wutai stuff to be tied to Rufus so bad.
I know you do. I know you do. Because there's that crisis core detail, the blonde man.
The blonde-haired man.
And
I didn't mention this in the video, but there's another instance in the same side quest where Yuffie is talking about eavesdropping on Avalanche too for materia. So there's just like these two things happening with this character where it's just like, please, for the love of God, Square, I hope you're playing that 4D chess right now, and this is all setting up for some sort of bigger involvement.
That's why he needs to be in this DLC in some shape or form, and that's why he at least needs to have one song dedicated to him.
I was actually just thinking about that. I'm now scanning because I was like, is there anything in here that could actually there is. And this is one of the things that I came across that I like way before, and I was like, I gotta write that down. It's a Shinra theme, if I can find it. Let me just find it really quick. The title of this is really telling, I think.
Okay, well, I mean, it's crazy that Wutai isn't a bigger part of the narrative in the OG, and I think it's just because they, kind of wrote it in. But like in terms of the geopolitical struggle, like Wutai represents something very interesting about corporate greed and how it affects small countries. So like what it's supposed to represent is a nation that wanted sovereignty and wanted the ability to protect its own land and was not allowed to. And Wutai is currently wholeheartedly represented, single-handedly represented by a 16-year-old ninja with a very underdeveloped personality to inform you of all this. And even in OG, with all of that, like the execution of Wutai is still pretty good. Like it's pretty good. And so with a fully fleshed out Yuffie, I think that's there's all this potential to tell the story that they wanted to about the ills of capitalism and quite frankly Western encroachment. So I'm excited to see if they can tell that story in a way that won't get them banned from certain countries.
This is the song, by the way. Yeah, it is the Shinra's theme on schedule. So the timing is what I'm focusing on. Is the timing of events at this point, which is after, by the way, it's after in terms of the disc ordering of events. This is after the giant Pede fight. This is after the train, I'm imagining, because the song before is called Revenge Sworn, which we know Sonon does.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like that scene, yeah.
And then there's, right after that, it's Shinra's theme on schedule. And I'm like, and right after that is when, you get Salt in the Wound, and then a question mark song. And then you get Scarlet stuff. So whatever is the gap between that is the juicy stuff. I think if there's a Rufus track right there, that's where it would be probably. Somebody saying something, a Turk theme maybe. Somebody keeping an eye on the scheduling. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm just speculating. That's all this is.
But
that would be a
has
good place.
to be more to this whole Rufus thing, because in the base game we saw the scene with the Turks, and that's the VP needs them, and then he shows up, then it's
That's
the
true.
fight, and he's gone.
Right.
Then we see him a little bit in the ending.
And then the
But
explosion
there needs to
too
be
before
more-
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There
That's
needs to
the
be
gap.
Yeah.
There's enough time in between the deep ground events to sort of signify that that's probably where the end game is going to be. Like that's the only place where the end game could be in my mind is that helipad sequence. It's got to be something. There's too many unresolved elements and too much of a gap in time in just the soundtrack where it's just like, all right, you've wrapped that section up and you've moved on, and now we're getting events that we already know, but that's a dead giveaway, right? So we don't want to just say like this, and this. Oh God,
it's probably a side scene in between that we cut away, and then there's probably a Turks or a Rufus or a Shinra scene. Then we cut back again to our group. I can see something like that.
Is there any particular soundtrack that you guys have, and not to like focus too heavily on that, is there one song where you're just like, okay, like what the fuck is that? Like what is the one where you're just like, I don't know what to think about this, or I hope that it's this. Like I hope that this is.
There's one, and I mean, I don't know if we should have Viz cover his ears or not. But
well, it depends. Does the title reveal something that has?
It doesn't actually reveal anything that we know. Like we don't know, because there's a split in the fandom and there's a translation issue. There's a track that is called Pain Level Maximum.
How dare you? That was mine. Fuck. That was the one.
English. But its translation is something much more specific. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about, right? Sleepezi and chat.
I don't know if you're confusing this with the other one.
We're never going to get to the bottom of this. This is track 23.
Right. No, I know which song you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait a second. Yeah. I have my own thought about that track. Which you already mentioned the title of it. I just don't know the Japanese translation of it.
So the Japanese translation is completely different and has nothing to do with pain.
Message me. Message me it, and then we'll very, very briefly, vaguely talk about it. Send it to Cry too if you're interested. I don't want to spoil Viz. I just went off on the soundtrack, and I didn't realize that he was, because we talked about this before. But like of the soundtrack, but you haven't read any of the names.
No, I haven't read the track
list
yet. No.
This is awkward.
Well, it's fine. Just go for it. Just go for it. It's my fault for not having looked into it and being on the stream right now.
I was like, what? Okay.
It's fine.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Listen,
Go for it.
It's definitely. No, that's not the right soundtrack. That's Diabolic that you're thinking of.
Diabolic sounds like Nero.
Yeah.
Pain
Diabolic
sounds, Pain Level Maximum sounds kind of like Scarlet, but
see, for me, that's not a bad. Yeah. That's actually not a bad call at all. I was thinking Shulk. I was 100% thinking Shulk, because the way that sounds is like very robotic, and I'm like, That's Shelk. she's a robot lady.
What's the translation from the Japanese title?
The one for diabolic
the one for
creation.
diabolic is the one that I've been trying not to mention.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But I would say don't worry about that. Yeah. Because, I mean, you know.
I'll tell you in a million years, you will never guess what that soundtrack is. And that's probably for the best going in. So
Based
haven't
solely
talked
on
about
what
it.
you
Nobody's
said
talked
this,
about it.
what he said in the beginning of the stream, what Viz said in the beginning of the stream about what he's hoping for, it very vaguely addresses one of those, and that's about as far as we need to go with it. So let's talk about hopes and dreams and what we hope for.
Dreams, hopes.
What do we hope for? Zeal of Fire.
10
Thank you
gifts.
so
Wow.
much.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting us vaguely talking about a soundtrack that we shouldn't have been talking about. I very much appreciate it.
No worries. I know I'm a baby, but I
know. I didn't want to do that.
No. You're fine. You're doing the right thing. We're idiots.
I feel like the dumb one. You're fine. I wouldn't want to spoil anything if I didn't want to
the hopes and dreams, right? So what if anything are you hoping that Intergrade tells us about part 2? What do you guys want to see? Because we know that it's definitely going to tell us stuff about Deep Ground, and it's going to tell us stuff about Dirge of Cerberus, and it's going to tell us stuff about whatever its own story is. But we know that very early on, in fact, the very first announcement, Nomura made a statement alongside the State of Play where this was originally announced, saying that they chose the title Intergrade because it's meant to be a bridge between part 1 and 2. Now, whether that means story bridge or that means like a literal hardware bridge, since we're kind of assuming that this means that part 2 will be PS5 exclusive, it was kind of vague. But in the First Soldier podcast, where the final intermission trailer was released, Nomura did also say that part 2, the events of part 2, would immediately follow the events of Intergrade, not Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade. So that gives us an indication that perhaps we're going to see a little teaser or something that, within the contents that tells us something about part 2. What are you guys' hopes and dreams for that?
Well, I can just chime in here. I've been listening to you guys for a while, and I totally agree. There's been a lot of stuff said, so I don't really want to go into anything so super repetitive. But I do think that this episode is a perfect opportunity to give more depth of character to Yuffie, more story content there, and potentially her motivations for why she ends up meeting the group in the original. It's not just a side optional side character that was just kind of thrown away. I want to know her motivations. I want to know everything that she's been through, I guess, in this episode, and how she changes, and how that impacts her as a character and her decision making as to how they cross paths. Because I don't think that it's by chance. I think that there's a reason behind that, and I think that it's a perfect opportunity for them to give us some information and some background and story about why she does end up crossing paths with the main party when she does. So I'm hoping for something. I don't know whether it's a scene or something. I don't know, that maybe shows her she sees them or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's been following them, and then it kind of sets it up for that, and kind of also it can explain, I guess, we've talked about this on a podcast as well. I think actually it was Babyseal, the episode that you were on, when we talked about like how are they going to start part 2, or are they going to, is she going to show up and steal everybody's material and equipment again? Is that going to be part of the story? Is that is that even going to happen anymore? Like, how are they going to reset everybody's level and whatever? I think it's a good opportunity for them to kind of look at that as well and give us a reason. Does she steal it because she's following us and she's like she knows that she needs to join this group, and there's something that maybe some information that she has for certain situations that happen during intermission that she has to share, but she's waiting for the perfect moment to do that. And maybe her way in is stealing their equipment or stealing their material or something. You know what I mean? She's just thinking, I need a plan and I need a reason to get in there, but the actual reason is not the reason that we know of, and not the one that everybody thinks is the reason why it's happening. If that makes sense. I think that the Dirge of Cerberus, sorry, Viz. I think also we talked a lot about the compilation characters appearing in the DLC. I think that they are going to be self-contained in this DLC. I don't know if we are going to see, these like Dirge of Cerberus characters appearing again in part 2 or part 3 or the subsequent parts of the remake. We don't know how many we're getting. I don't know if there's enough time for each one of these characters to be given the screen time and have story resolution. So I don't think we're gonna see them outside of this DLC. Potentially, we might see a few of them, but definitely not all of them. And we might see characters in the subsequent parts kind of mention these characters, or they might have had some kind of an impact on the story of what we're going to get in the future. But I think it's the perfect opportunity to keep them self-contained in this DLC, but give them justice and give them the time that they deserve, and kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of clarify their intentions or their background and stories, just to touch on them. Because I think a lot of people actually didn't play a lot of the compilation games, whether it was because the stories were too, hard to understand, or too, people are purists, right? Like they love the OG, they don't even really like remake at all. But I think that they're not, like, Square isn't really appeasing or trying to please those fans. I think that they're trying to find meaningful ways to kind of weave these stories together. And also we have Ever Crisis coming out as well, which is a perfect opportunity for us to kind of go through the story beats of the compilation games beginning to end, and then we will know who these characters are if you haven't played the compilation. And also for new players as well that are new to the series, because I know people like Remake is their first Final Fantasy game they've ever played.
That's
so
right.
These characters that we're going to see in intermission, they're not going to know who they are, but I think that they will learn some information about them and their motivations, and then when Ever Crisis is out, they'll be able to play through those games and be like, oh yeah, I remember this character and what their motivations were for this, or you have some background about those characters, so you're not just completely oblivious or lost, or you have no idea what's happening. But yeah.
That's great. That's totally dead on. I fully agree with all that. And I think the one exception we might see if Genesis is like a thing. I think we might see the
later on,
the whatever that means moving forward.
At the very end.
Yeah,
at the very end. Potentially.
A part of me where I think that, like, as you said, there's sort of like this almost unspoken thing that we're all pretty aware of, which is that we all think that this is going to end right where we all expect it, where it's like Yuffie is set up to join the party, but that's, I think, the expected conclusion. And I think what needs to be a hook, line, and sinker, because we kind of know that story. We know where we're kind of going to go in there, but we need that like remake, like twist of the knife. Like you still have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Sort of ending where something needs to be teased to like expand on the bigger story of whatever it is that they try to do by introducing what they introduced in the first part of remake.
Yeah.
So like whatever that story is, where my heart is with Genesis and Gact and redemption. So I think
Yeah.
semi-ironically in terms of like that level, but like I genuinely think that this is gonna be the stage set for that particular character.
Right, like they have to
I-
continue the meta plot line too. Like whatever
Yeah.
that is, they need to just, and they can't shine a big light. They've got to shine just a big enough light to keep us engaged until part 2 comes out. And
I also think that Cry brought up a really good point of that people aren't familiar with these characters.
Yeah.
And I think like either you're OG or just starting to play this game for the first time. I think that's the best way to introduce these characters. I think the best way to introduce Vice and Nero is to not know anything about them. I think that's for the best for those people and coming into it. So I think if anything, Square has sort of set themselves these characters up specifically to actually be reintroduced in a way more positive way to the audience.
And they kind of have an obligation to do that because the truth is it's pretty hard to legally obtain the games that these characters are from. Like it's hard to legally obtain and play even Dirge of Cerberus and even Crisis Core, and before Crisis is technically impossible. You've got to do the RPG Maker version, which was a lot of work by somebody that did a really accurate, good job. But it's not, we're not there yet, you know. And so, like, for us to know those characters requires us to break the law, and so it's important for Square to like be mindful of that and introduce these characters and stuff like that. If they're going to weave them into the narrative, they deserve an introduction for sure. Something that Kairos has said gave Viz a serious clue, and I'd like to hear what that was.
Yeah, it's not really something too much out of way or too like an epiphany or something, but when we meet Yuffie in the original game, she tags along because she wants our materia. She's materia hunt. She noticed that we have and use materia, and she wants them. And I think this also needs to play into how they meet in the remake part 2 as well. So in intermission, they're after the ultimate materia, but they're pretty much not gonna get it, I'm pretty sure, because either Deacon intervenes or it's a big ploy, it's a distraction or something like that. But she still needs and wants materia to bring back glory to Wutai. Maybe Avalanche didn't live up to their end of the bargain or something, or she thinks they abandoned her, or maybe they're dead and now she's on her own. And through somebody or someone or a group or some kind of information, she knows, oh, this group has materia, and the ones she saw earlier in the Sector 7. And maybe, oh, they're also Avalanche, so maybe they can help me get the materia back to Wutai. Kind of a double play she's playing. She needs someone to help her, or a group to help her bring her back to Wutai. A group that's also against Shinra, that works against Shinra, but also has materia and the strength she needs. So I think this could kind of weave everything into place.
It's funny that you like sort of there's one particular part of that sort of has me hooked a bit, where I'm thinking to myself, where's like the rendezvous point, do you guys think, at the end of this? Like where's Yuffie? Like, obviously if she ends up with the party, she ends up with the party, right? But I wonder where their ultimate destination is, because we know from the board in Intergrade that there's a helicopter coming in to retrieve or extract Yuffie, and that could either go exactly as planned or go terribly awry, just depending on the circumstance and the timing of that stuff. but I almost wonder if calm is like the exit strategy, because that would put her in a pretty good place to
That's
be
true.
involved. And also
And
there's
then
like other
that's the place that he meets the other or notices the other group
right.
again.
Right, exactly. And it's like, okay, well, if they're all just like, what if all parties just end up in calm sort of like just by happenstance? Like Yuffie's already there, or like something is going, like there's got to be something getting our character out of a plane or out of Midgar and outside. So I'm thinking to myself, like, that seems like a likely choice of like a leaving point, because I don't think that they would want, after the Midgar mission, why be in Midgar, right? You probably want to get the hell out as soon as you just infiltrated and perhaps maybe even assassinated like the president. You don't want to stick around. So I just wonder, I wonder how that's gonna play into the unraveling story, which I'm sure we'll be getting like this info dump when they go over the plan, like first thing in the DLC. They're just gonna be like, this is what's gonna happen, you're gonna go do this, and then you're gonna bounce to Com or whatever. But I feel like Com also could probably set up like maybe even like Veld or something like that too. Like there's a lot of story elements that could, and for those who don't know who I'm talking about the former leader of the Turks from before Crisis, who is alive at this point in the story, sort of semi working in the background, just because they have nothing better to do at this point but to be unemployed but employed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that they could do with that com, especially with like stuff that happens in On the Way to a Smile, Before Crisis. Like that would be a great place to just start unraveling like a larger story too. So
yeah,
and this would also make this sentence by Nomura kind of sense. If that's where we end intermission, which is part of Intergrade.
Right.
It's also where part 2 starts.
Yeah, totally.
However, this doesn't mean that we meet Yuffie or Yuffie meets the group directly and they interact in Calm already. I kind of have a feeling if they meet there or she meets them there, that she will just tail them for a while. Or maybe not yet. Maybe they go further to Fort Condor. I really hope Fort Condor gets much more integrated. Excuse me.
Bless.
Much more integrated into the story, especially if now Wutai, Avalanche, and Shinra are much more integrated as well, and the Fort Condor minigame. So it has to be a thing. And right now, I think Fort Condor could be the ideal place to formally introduce Yuffie in part 2 to the group.
I mean, it was
inside,
it was close,
outside later.
Yeah.
It will also fit that we play the minigame, or she plays the minigame, gets good at it, and that would kind of also tie into the location.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't know what the open world situation is like, but if it's some kind of zones, there could be a forested area along the way, to Fort Condor, and there could be a scene with her stalking the party somehow, that whole thing. I mean, personally, I think the big meta reveal is going to be the thing that's most exciting for me in terms of integrating the two stories. And I think that everything we've seen so far is, despite how like kind of shocking it is to see these characters, like Vice and Nero and stuff like that, and it doesn't actually have an impact on the meta plot. Like none of this stuff is necessarily consequential, and Nomura even said that the reason that Vincent isn't going to appear in this DLC, for instance, is because he is asleep in Nibelheim, and just follows the overall progression of the original story. And so nothing we've seen, attacks topics like the Whispers, the Arbiters of Fate, any of the strangeness that may or may not be happening with, the future sight stuff, the live stream flashes, all the harebrained stuff, all the stuff that either made you love the game or hate it, all that stuff. And I think they have to address that somehow. Otherwise, we lose this. They lose an opportunity to keep us all talking for another year while they finish this game. And I think the easiest way to do that, and the way that they set this up, was with this stupid dog, Stamp. Stamp is like is kind of the key. I think it was a device they built specifically for a storytelling purpose, and it seems like a cheap thing, but honestly, he got his own song. He appears 99 different times. There's apparently, there's the Materials Plus, which is the new Material Ultimania that's coming out in July, has a little Stamp sketchbook. It's like a little storyboard that's supposedly featured in Intergrade.
Oh, that one, right?
Yeah, it's featured in Intergrade, and we see a little bit of it, and it's Beagle Stamp. So I have a feeling that we're going to see little Easter eggs that reveal what's happening with the meta narrative through Stamp. I feel like that's, along with being a symbol for propaganda in general. I think the purpose of Stamp has always been, a mechanism to explain things that are happening in the background that affect the greater narrative of Final Fantasy. So my prediction is that in the final scene, whatever that is, whatever the intergrade scene, whatever the intergrading scene is, we will see Stamp, and what we see of Stamp will shed a light on where the party is and when the party is, and in what, if it's a continuity thing, we'll find out if they're in that continuity, and that will tell us at least something about what is happening with Zack. Is he alive with the party somewhere? Have they all stepped into the Terrier timeline? Like if we see a Terrier Stamp, like in the very last scene of Intergrade, we're gonna know that the party is now in a continuity with Zack. Where the past has changed somehow. They don't even have to explain to us whether or not the party is aware of that or not. They are under no obligation. If we see a Beagle, at the end, then we're gonna be like, well, I guess let's wait for the.
Let's dance, asshole.
Oh, thank you very much for the sub, Skittles.
Intergrade hype, yes.
Intergrade hype for sure. If we see a Beagle, it means that we can all look forward to the Zack spin-off game. The VR spin-off game being developed exclusively by Hideo Kojima or whatever.
Can we because I think this is always the hard thing to touch on, because there's no sense of direction for that, and you're kind of dipping into that with the Stamp thing, is that the fucking summary title extension of like, you cannot hear the cries of your friends.
Yeah.
That is where all bets are off. There's something going on that, like, at the end of this, that's just gonna, again, in the lightest term that Nomura is trying to tell us, is that there's a knife twist at the end of this. That's like, there's no telling what's gonna happen. But I have a sense that, like, where somebody mentioned it in chat, where it's like UV might not even be in the same timeline of events that we're familiar with. But for me, I almost feel like whatever reaction or chain reaction of events that comes from Yuffie's story, maybe we don't even get her with the party. Maybe she doesn't even become involved in the way that we think that she becomes involved, and she just has like this other story with like Zack or some shit or something out. And obviously there's no basis for that. I don't even really want to see that. because I don't know what that looks like. But there's just
ruin our lives.
Yeah, there's just a part of me that is sensing that there's gonna be some intense, like, tone shift of what we're expecting the norm to happen just with that one thing, because it's like that to me sounds like there's a heavy disconnect between what's unfolding in this story and what ultimately happens to the characters that we're following.
Right.
Is that the friends, I would imagine, are like the party or somebody, right? Like you can't. Right. So if she's like doing her own thing and there's some sort of rift that we already are kind of familiar with this timeline thing happening, or this event with Zach, that there's some sort of disconnect of events unfolding, like maybe just an elaboration on that might be a good thing. And also, if we see Terrier and Stamp like show up in that same picture book, I'm going to lose my mind. Just that's gonna be too weird for me,
like
at that point.
Like either like one page it's a beagle and then the next page it's a terrier, no context, like they never explained it during the picture book.
What it's going to be is when you flip the page, it's going to be an identical page, but rather than it being the beagle, it's going to be the terrier. And it's going to then, at some point, the story is going to branch. There's going to be like a butterfly effect of events where It's like, oh, the terrier stops to smell the roses and the beagle keeps walking. And then it's like it's a different story completely.
I keep saying they've got a real cash grab opportunity if they play this like Pokemon editions and just have the Final Fantasy VII remake beagle and terrier, and when you play as Zach, and it's exclusive to the Xbox.
Oh my god.
Let's just Kingdom Hearts this. Let's just put it on every device, so you have to buy every console. Yeah.
So I mean,
regarding those,
go on.
Regarding those two mystery lines, which by the way only appeared on the Japanese articles, the English one just dropped something generic in there about Yuffie. I still have a feeling those are about Zack. I don't know, I can place it, but my theory still stands.
Me too, actually.
The thing is, if his friends can't hear him, this could also lead to another theory that I have in store for the ending analysis, but I still want to kind of hint at it here. We had a chat on CCO once about that. And what if Zack is not alive, like in all this the continuity of remake, like where Cloud and the others go through, but in the negative live stream only, where Sephiroth resides?
I feel like that. Okay, there's a huge. Okay, I'm so glad that somebody else brought this up, because this is 100% something that I in my mind I've been like, well, there are hints of that in remake. There's hints of that with the Harbinger and like Yazoo and Law's references, and the thing that weirds me out about Intergrade specifically, and you probably have more to say about this because it sounds like you've thought about this a little bit more, but Nero and the darkness with Yuffie's extraction of the darkness when he consumes her in Dirge of Cerberus was where I thought that was going to be the split, right, of the story to introduce what you're talking about, where Yuffie gets pulled in and she ends up somewhere. A part of her ends up one place and another half of it continues in the same story. So like talking about two separate timelines, but rather than it being timelines, it's two separate live streams.
Yeah, it's a separate copy of a memory copy of some sorts. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay, I don't want to get too far down this without... Viz, do you think you could pull up those lines? Because you have, I think, the best translation. Yeah. So what we're talking about is that on the Intergrade website, there's these two very cryptic lines that are sort of the title lines of Intergrade. And they don't appear on the English websites or the German websites. And Viz has done the work of getting those translated well, and when he's ready to pull those up. Vinny! Good to see you, brother.
Hey, baby.
All right, I posted it on Discord.
Okay.
Who wants to read this in their content creator voice?
Definitely Kairosis.
Okay, you ready?
I am.
Guided by the cries of the planet, the wheels of a new destiny begin to turn. The world that you see with your eyes, the screams that you hear, have not reached your friends.
Chills.
100% chills.
Chills. Okay, so that's the line they're talking about, and it has no context whatsoever. But it is surprisingly
I think it's in the game
dark.
description.
Yeah,
it's on the game description. I think on the PSN, on the English, like the NA PSN or whatever. I think that's where I read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
There as well.
for Intergrade. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That sounds like a warning more than anything.
It
Like
does.
your friends fucked up and they didn't listen to the whispers, and now everything is gonna go wrong. That's sort of what I'm getting from that more proper translation.
Vinny, you didn't have to. Thank you so much, guys. I've had a lot of support this stream, and I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it, especially considering
Vinny.
that it was a absolute nightmare at the beginning. I had a cat unplug a cable. It was there's going to be a lot edited out, but not those gift subs, Vinny. Lots of love.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so now you guys brought up some pretty esoteric concepts. Somebody want to explain to the listeners what the negative live stream is?
I don't know who wants to do that.
I think Sleepezi
I
wants to
was
do
about to ask.
Sleepezi.
So
Do you want to double team it?
Sure.
You want to
yeah,
start?
sure.
You want to
Yeah.
start? I'll jump in and we'll just
Sure.
tag team it.
So, all right. So the gist of it is that I think Nomura-san was the only one who actually said or mentioned the term negative live stream, and it was to describe this black swarm goo thing that Sephiroth summons at the end of Advent Children.
Yes, and there's a second comment on it. So people were throwing this fucking term around like it was just nothing because it's mentioned on the Wikipedia for Final Fantasy VII in various places, and it was like where does this term even come from? Because like Viz mentioned, it's mentioned by Nomura in the commentary track of Advent Children Complete.
Right.
Like that's the negative live stream, and everyone's like, okay, like what is
What did you just say? Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's another mention of this in an Ultimania. I think it's Omega. I want to say it's Omega, and it's under the description of what geostigma is. So there's an immediate like link between these two things. So the geostigma is essentially like a spiritual infection of the life stream caused by Sephiroth, and it
Nova cells, yeah.
Yes, exactly. With the use of Genova cells, creates this spiritual virus that kills people when they lose hope and have no desire to live. Essentially, like it's like it thrives off of hopelessness, and that's how it spreads.
It's also kind of explained by an overreaction by the immune system, because the immune system can't really fight it off. It just keeps going, and this is what actually then kills them and lets them cough up this black goo.
Right.
It's kind of it's both.
That's an interesting like mention by Vincent in AC, because the way that you just described it, it almost seems like the cycle itself, which is something that I mentioned in videos of like, and something that's just a casual mention of Final Fantasy VII's function of the live stream is that the cycle of life is just it's like reincarnation, I guess, or it's a recycled energy, like energy from people go back in the live stream, and then that energy is reused for to make more life or to continue life.
Exactly.
on the planet. But the thing that's weird about the mention from Vincent is that he mentions that all humans themselves sort of have their own miniature life stream inside of them, where it's like a weird half mention where it's like, and then so yeah, there's varying mentions of it in terms of like scalability of the life stream, because you have the big one in Dirge of Cerberus with Omega, where the life stream like goes and joins like a larger life stream or starts a different planet. Then there's planetary life streams, and then there are individuals who have their own life stream inside of them. But the idea there is that what the description of the negative life stream is in the geostigma mention is that it's completely separated. It's not a part of the life stream itself. It's comprised of all of the people who have died from geostigma. So like when Sephiroth shows up at the end of AC, Cloud asks Sephiroth like what his goal is, and he just wants all of the people who are infected with geostigma to die because their souls will join the negative life stream. So these are corrupted souls that are sort of introduced into this separate life stream. It's almost like it's taking life away from that cycle and making its own, which is super strange. And not to get into theory territory, but a lot of that to me has a lot to do with the events of Remake, because ultimately what Sephiroth's goal is in Advent Children is to use this separated, corrupted life stream to infect the life stream itself, and then he's going to essentially
choke the planet with
choke it, corrode it, corrupt it. And it's I thought that was the greatest idea, but it's so quickly introduced that it's like, oh, that's the threat, that's what this is all for, and like, now fight me. And it's like, oh god. But after that digging, it seems to answer a lot of the questions of like Remake, the Whisper Harbinger, the reason why the remnants, Yazoo, Kadaj, and Laz are all sort of half mentioned in the end. So that is sort of when we're talking about, okay, well, technically there could exist two separate life streams in the continuity of Remake It as well. Is that if there are these two separate life streams, you could technically, I guess the negative life stream would just act as a similar world, almost an identical world of the life stream, just probably more fucked up, I guess. Something.
Definitely. Yeah,
But
this is also something that will play into the end theory of this Cloud and Sephiroth analysis thing.
Yeah,
it's definitely something that could be part of the Zack reveal, like play into this. Also have connection to this enigmatic line. Carlos is so beautifully voice acted before.
Yeah, definitely like a weird sort of separation there of like, okay, there's two distinctions being made where somebody's somewhere and somebody can't reach the other. And that definitely, I think if they keep it to this like live stream business, like that's like the function of like time, which is also something that I've gone into before, is that time is also a construct of the live stream. Based off of the maiden who travels the planet, which is not something that people view as continuity. You know what that book also says, by the way, is it says that Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge are all dead.
Does say that.
Makes me even more inclined to believe in it more. But the idea is that instead of time being constructed out of just like a particular aspect of the live stream, it's like, when you join the live stream, you as a person or whatever is going back into the live stream, like the threads of that all make up separate things. And the thing that constructs time in The Maiden Who Travels the Planet is the memories of people. And I was like, well, this seems to be such an overwhelmingly huge theme to me for what Final Fantasy VII could elaborate on. Just like you can elaborate on that when talking about like Cloud as a character, and just that sort of to me also is reflected in a lot of what's highlighted in like Remake with like whispers and stuff like that, like what their inclusion could be. So I think instead of almost, if you wanted to look at it rather than as like a different time, you could see it as like infected memories or the memories of something playing out in a way that's not necessarily like, you know, exactly how you remember it. So that would give definition to why things aren't happening exactly the way that you're seeing them, is because it's about how you as the audience remember them. It's not happening the same way that you remember it, which is the entire point of like how meta this remake already is to the audience. Is like that's why the whispers exist, is that you want to keep things in line and have it be the same way because that's how you remember it. And that's what the live stream is ultimately making up. So I guess that's sort of the angle for me, at least, when talking about like this stuff. That to me feeds back into like proper built on themes of Final Fantasy VII, rather than Zack just being alive in a different timeline, which doesn't make all that much sense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that has been my mantra since the beginning.
We're doing it.
I mean, okay, now timeline stuff is so polarizing because you even say it and a lot of people just check out. And also you deal with something that called equivocation, where a lot of people have a functional definition of timeline that is catered to their own knowledge of what the word means, but it has, you know, a completely different meaning to different people and in different fandoms. And so like a lot of times when we're saying something like we're trying to say, well, the negative live stream is like a different, it's, you know, it's constructed of different memories, and it's you know, somehow corrupted. For all intents and purposes, you could argue, well, that's a different timeline. And you wouldn't technically be wrong, but people are so averse to the word timeline that I have seen a lot of mental gymnastics necessarily attempting to defeat the possibility of it. But really, you know, none of us know what's happening, and we have like the combination of literally every type of deceptive force in whatever the meta narrative is here, potentially causing an explanation. We've got a space alien that can create illusions, so we don't know if that's at play, you know, when we see these different things. We've got this new element, which are these planetary weapons, which fundamentally are described as from a future timeline. So there is something that involves time in whatever is happening. We have potentially this Norse tie-in of the Voluspa, which is this concept of like a Cirrus, you know, with Aerith being somebody that's got the ability to kind of manipulate the threads of fate and time are two independent concepts, and that's this whole thing. And it can be like literally all of these things, or one of them, or a random juxtaposition of some of them. And I am still of the mind that it would surprise me if whatever the explanation ends up being will be particularly coherent. And I've got to be honest, I'm okay with that. I think it has the potential to be a little convoluted, but if the character moments outshine it, if the everything outshines it, like the the way that we revisit all these places, if the experience of going to Gold Saucer is amazing, I think we're probably going to kind of forget some of the time fuckery or the Genova illusion fuckery or any of that stuff. That's just my take. I don't know about you guys. So
I don't mind it being a little nonsensical, if I'm going to be honest.
It's Final Fantasy. Like, fantasy is in the title.
I think what needs to function is it's important to... I talk about this a lot, like I look at the storytelling a lot in this sense, where I am a particular fan of when a story tells the story of the main characters, and then that struggle, that internal struggle, that theme that of your story is directly told through that character struggle, but it's also directly reflected in the world itself. And I think a really easy example of this for people who who need a better example, because it gets a little bit more complicated when looking at remakes specifically, but like a great way of looking at it is like Batman in Gotham City. It's like Batman is the character and Gotham City is a direct reflection of that character. Right. And that story can adapt just simply by changing the character slightly, and that's a super important thing to have the ability to do. And that's sort of what Final Fantasy VII does, where it's about the cycle of life. It's about like all of these bigger themes, but it plugs directly back into a lot of like Cloud's identity issues, like what needs to be reconstructed, what needs to be saved, what's valued, blah, blah, blah. But with Remake, I think it's becoming much more focused in on like connecting the world to exactly what's happening with every character in it. And I think just with that alone, it doesn't have to be completely demonstrated. I think a lot of the complaints that people might have about the compilation is that it's too detailed oriented, to like trying to expand on certain elements. Like a lot of people don't maybe like the concept of like destiny. They don't like the fact that Genesis is connected to like sort of like this religious reference. It's like too on the nose. There's all sorts of things like that just riddled throughout the compilation. But I think the goal ultimately for me is that if the story has like a little bit of a looseness or a vagary, the original also sort of has that in itself, with like the way that the weapons function. For instance, like why does the planet not consider like certain X, Y, and Z? Like why are they functioning exactly the way that they're functioning? You don't really need to know that. You just need to know like what they're operating for, what the threat of that is to the player. But it just needs to all come back to the character. So whatever does end up happening, if it is time travel, even, like I'm willing to even go to that extent. If they can plug that in somehow meaningfully into the story of each character, or say something that like is meaningful about their independent journeys, then I would be over the moon if they can accomplish that and make me care. They just need to make me care more about what's happening with the characters and not be like, huh? Like that doesn't make any sense. It's one of the reasons why, like, and I hate to say it because people get so on the story for all of these newer elements that have been introduced, and like, how do you go from here? It's like, you're not seeing, you're seeing this as like a limiting factor to the story, when everything that we've seen so far has been pushing these characters farther than they have throughout the entire story, because characters get dropped immediately, like in terms of like their resolution. Once their resolution's over, that's it. They're just a part of the story. They're just tagging along. But like Intergrade or Remake specifically has already set up a lot of these characters to continue their journey past just their initial goal. Like they're weaving everything in together to make it more impactful. It's one of the reasons I'm so excited for Yuffie, is because I don't think much about her when I think about Yuffie. But when I look at her in Intergrade, I'm like, this character has the potential to be my favorite character. And that's a huge difference to like what you would expect from this game. It's like, that's why I'm also excited for Vice and Nero. Like, I'm less excited for them, actually. But I'm excited to see where they where they expand these people and what they bring to the story, because that's what ultimately it seems like Remake's goal is to like expand the characters. And I love that. And above the lore and everything else, that and the music. So
The music.
the music is killer. That's one of the, like, as soon as I heard that soundtrack for Yuffie's battle theme, I was like, I cannot wait for this game, because it's emotional. It's very like, I feel like such an isolated story following one character is like almost way more than I could have expected. Like, I just want that journey. I want to just spend time with Yuffie. I want to see how she grows in this short period of time. Like, what changes? What new stuff do we get to see? Her like experience, and where are they setting her up for like more elaboration and stuff like that? It's all interesting stuff.
Totally.
What I also wanted to add, as I said, not everything needs to make sense, not everything needs to be meticulously explained, but it needs to kind of fit into everything and be there for a symbolic reasons as well. That's why I wouldn't be mad if they don't really explain this the Stamp Beagle Terrier thing, but make it so that it's apparent that it's there for a symbolic reason, that it stands for something. It's visual storytelling. It doesn't need to be exactly explained, like, oh right, Sephiroth went back in time while the Whisper fight to change stuff in the 30-40 years back, and that's why Beagle Stamp is now different, blah blah, just some crazy shit like that. Doesn't need to be like that. It's just, it just needs to make sense, either symbolically or for a storytelling reason, or just in the broader picture of things. That's what I wanted to add.
If it was like that, we wouldn't be here today having this conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they just literally told us everything and the reason for every single thing in the story, then we wouldn't be able to have these conversations. You know what I mean? And I like that about storytelling. I like to not be told everything, and like I like to go away, develop my own opinions and thoughts, and kind of reflect on my experience and think about, like, how did I feel about what I went through and what I encountered, or you know what I'm saying, and kind of get into that deep thought process about what I experienced, and then kind of form my own opinions and questions. You know what I mean? Because I've said it before that this game kind of creates more questions than it answers. It doesn't give us the answers that necessarily we want, and ultimately I don't think that we really need the answers to our questions, because we are hooked and we're coming back for more, and we will be coming back for the whole I will be for the whole series, because I want to see how the story continues and to see what it becomes, and if it is something that I maybe thought of, or Sleepezi with your theories, is it something that you might have predicted, or Viz predicted, or Babyseal, or somebody. If it is that, even if it doesn't end up being something that anybody predicts, I'm still gonna enjoy this game, and I'm open to receiving it for what it is. And that's the thing. I'm going into this, I don't really have any expectations. My only expectations are that, like, I want to be I wanted the gameplay to be good. I want, obviously I want the story to be good, but this is Square's story and they can tell it the way that they want, and I'm open to receiving it in that way. I'm not going to be upset or disappointed that it's not what I thought it was going to be inside of my mind. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not going to be that. It's never going to be what all of us want it to be. And that's the thing. Like, you just have to be open to receiving it for what it is. Whether Zack is alive in an alternate timeline, whether Genesis shows up or not, whether, like, these characters get payoffs or not, the Dirge Cerberus characters that are going to be in intermission, like, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to, for me, it's like any excuse to go back to to this world and spend time with these characters that I grew up with, that I love, and I feel like I have a connection with since I was a child. Like, I will always go back to it. Like, I just can't wait to see what this story becomes, and I'm open to it. I just don't think that it's going to be what I ultimately wanted inside of my mind, or what I thought it was going to be. but I also went into it without any expectations, really. I was just open to it. And I think that I actually enjoyed it more for that reason, because I didn't judge it based on what the original was, because it was never going to be that. And I knew that going in, because they literally came out and said multiple times, like, this isn't a one-to-one remake. You know, it's going to have changes here and there. We're extending the stories of the characters. We're adding things, whatever. So, you know, I'm fine with it, and I just can't wait to see what happens with the rest of the story. And I listened to a lot about what you guys were talking about with the alternate timelines and stuff, and I was just thinking that potentially it doesn't mean necessarily that, you know, Zach's alive in an alternate timeline. It could be just that it's more, you know, memories. And like I think Sleepezi had mentioned this about memories, and about how they're kind of playing with memories here, because they're, you know, when we're playing the game, we're going to feel things that we felt when we initially played the original. And then I think they're going to play with the fact that we're not going to remember it exactly. We're going to feel it like it's familiar, but it didn't play out exactly how we thought it did. But then we also might think, or did it, you know, like what is our memory of this? Like, maybe Zach being alive, quote unquote, spoilers if you didn't finish the remake, but maybe it's not just that, you know, he's alive in an alternate timeline. It's just that the events after the Whispers were destroyed, it's a memory of what could have been. And like Aerith has access to these memories with potentialities of what would have happened if Zach had survived and, you know, saved Cloud. And all of these things are not exactly how they remember them happening. And maybe they all are impacted, and they all think about, you know, these things. Maybe events are happening throughout the story when you're playing, you know, part 2 or whatever. And then they're getting these flashes of like, well, you know, in their memories, like, is this really what happened? You know, maybe it's impacting their memories, because I think that it said somewhere that the live stream is just like, also it has every part of you, right? It's your memories, your soul, your essence, like your being, like it's everything. So I don't know. I was just kind of thinking about that, because I don't like, I just rewatched the ending of the game actually, and it really brought me back to Advent Children, and the ending of Advent Children when we see Aerith and it's all white, and she's there speaking to Cloud, and I think that Cloud's really upset because he couldn't save her, and she's like, why, silly? Like, what do you, like, you know, it's okay. And it's kind of like she's there in the live stream and it's all white. So, and that's what happens at the end. They kind of walk by each other, and we see Zach, you know, helping Cloud off, and it turns to white. And then before, you know, she says, like, I hate the steel sky or whatever, and then it starts raining. It's kind of like that. It kind of brought me to where, you know, it's more like a memory of,
it's figurative. Yeah.
What could have been, you know, and maybe it's not that he's alive in another timeline. It could be just what could have been if he did survive and saved Cloud, and then maybe that changes something, but that the live stream has that information in it, and Aerith can kind of see, like, draw things from it, like, oh, like we have to go here, we have to do this, because she knows if this certain thing doesn't happen at this time, then a different reality might result in that, like, it might, of them not doing that specific thing at this time even. I'm not sure. But the Whispers are destroyed. And I think Sephiroth actually wanted the party to destroy the Whispers, because I think that they wanted him, like, he wanted them to do this so that he could potentially gain their power to create a new destiny of his own. Maybe, you know, destroy the Earth and create a new planet in his own image, and potentially just become a god, right?
Which, by the way,
my theory.
Which is, by the way, completely in line with what he wanted to begin with. Like, this is not a different motivation. Exactly. This isn't, I'm like changing up the story. It's like, no, it's just added context at that point. It's like, this is what the lengths in which he has to go in order to achieve that goal. You mentioned something, and I can't fucking help myself but bring it up, because it's such a clear line that Square is drawing, where, like, for me, Aerith is the encapsulation of this idea so forwardly, of this idea of memories. It's like her character, every line of dialogue is meant to literally reach out and grab a hold of everything that you love about like this game and just play with it. Like
Right.
everything, like I remember and I'm gonna admit, like I fucking started crying because I couldn't fucking help myself. But like when the Sleeping Forest reference in
Oh yeah.
when they're about to start into like their like section of the game, like and Cloud grabs his head, you don't need to even see what
Yeah.
he's thinking about. You don't
Mhm.
need it. You know every part of your body is just like a heart wrench. It's like a twist of like the knife again in you where you're just
Single
torn
tear,
up.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the idea that like the character is constantly making sure that she lets you know, the player specifically, that she knows exactly what's happening. She knows what you're feeling.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
knows how scary this entire thing is. And it's not I hate to be like this meta dude again, but she's like the meta element that really like is selling this for me. Like because the whispers are one thing, but it's this connection that the game is trying to make to this newer era, that it's like the linchpin of like the emotional motivation through the story, and the call to action before you go through the portal is where she's like, you won't, like, you don't need to believe in like everything, like I can't tell you everything, I can't tell you where this is gonna go, that's not what's happening here, but you need to believe in the characters that we've built, everything that we've sold you so far in the remake, where these characters are going to go, and I need you to come with me. I need you to make the jump and the leap of faith into this newer story. And as soon as that scene happened, I was like, fuck it. I don't care what, like, you could fight, like, you could fight Vice and Nero, Omega, Chaos, whatever the fuck is on the other side of that thing, and I'm 100% sold because the game isn't using the mechanic of whispers and destiny to sell you. They're using the characters to sell you. They're not. That's the motivation of the story, is to layer those things as the selling point and use Aerith as like the spokesperson essentially to be like, look at all this great stuff. We're gonna make more great stuff and give you more of that stuff. You just have to be willing to do something different. You just have to be willing to jump into something that you might not be immediately familiar with. So
you know, for Fantasian, Hironobu Sakaguchi has been doing interviews with a bunch of, our friends, quite frankly. And I've watched them all. And one of the things he said on more than one occasion is he talked about the use of negative space in storytelling. And negative space being an artistic term about, using empty space as part of the work, as part of the art, and in Final Fantasy VII's original storytelling, the negative space was really artful. There was a lot that they didn't expand on, that they allowed sort of the player to fill those gaps. And I've heard some people criticize that Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't rely on negative space as much, and I would argue that it absolutely still does. There are still so many unexplained elements, and artfully unexplained elements. There are so many times where silence in dialogue is used as as something that's really just as explanatory as dialogue, and quite frankly, like the focus of the narrative is still so character driven that the events sort of wrap around the spaces between the characters, and nothing else really, nothing. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I just don't see it as having the power to nothing that comes from the spaces between these characters is strong enough to overpower them. And the stuff that Sleepezi just said, I mean, specifically, like, I remember having the same reaction to the beginning of chapter 9, like the head flash, and then a single tear rolls down Cloud's
fucked me up right there.
You get just a tiny bit of the music, just a tiny little bit of that music, and it makes me really feel confident in the team. And a lot of people will immediately start future tripping on like the composition of the team. Like, well, this team also did Final Fantasy 13, which was a total dumpster fire, and now there's timelines, so this is just going to be Final Fantasy 13 all over again.
You're cutting out a little bit there.
Oh, am
Clark.
I? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll keep trying. So I am supremely confident that any team that can hit the nostalgic heartstring of that single tier, whoever that team is understands Final Fantasy VII and what it means to people. And I'm really confident that they're going to keep going with that.
100%.
Yeah, really confident. So, okay, because my mic keeps cutting out and because, we've gone a certain amount of time anyways, I think it's time to kind of wrap up the conversation, which means that it could go on for 2 to 3 more hours, but historically. But so I would say if you guys have questions in the audience, now's the time to start asking them. And a highlight and a mention always helps visibility. So remember that as you put them, and I'll collect them. And the final topic I kind of want to talk about, because we are excited about Intergrade right now, and so the topic still is Intergrade, even though we went into a huge meta hole right there. What in Intergrade? What do you think? What in particular, like what single thing that maybe has been revealed so far, or maybe you think it's going to be revealed, are you absolutely the most excited about? And we'll start with Viz.
So you mean intermission or integrate? Because integrate itself, there's nothing new besides the door, maybe?
The door. I'm upset about the door. They should have just kept it the same. They should have just not.
I wanted everything. I wanted everything fixed except the door, or I wanted them to make the door worse. Yeah, I really did.
It would have been fucking amazing if they were just like, "You're never getting this door. You're gonna have to."
That's what I thought
the
was
game.
gonna happen. I actually did.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? They're not showing it to us for a reason. Like I feel like it was a lost opportunity. They should have showed us in the Intergrade trailer just like HD textures, and it was like a zoom in of like the new door. You know what I mean? Like, hello, what is going on? Marketing people at Square Enix, like, come on, people would have lost their minds.
They would be like, the door. They would have been screaming. You'd have
There's
had
a
people
reflection in the mirror. Oh
yes.
my god.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting reflections back. I think
Did you see the comparison of like, I think it was Silent Hill and on PS2, I think, had reflection.
Yeah.
And then the remake doesn't even have a reflection in the mirror.
Right,
I'm like, oh god. At least it's 4K, like native 4K, right?
Yeah.
So Viz, to answer your question, dealer's choice. So
Okay.
either or both.
Well, for Intergrade, because they probably won't change much besides what we have seen so far, I want an additional new post-credit scene.
They better.
Yeah.
I just bought Intergrade. I want that extra scene.
Yep, definitely. And well, what's in there, I don't know. Possibly part 2 teaser, not really actually for part 2, but where part 2 might start, or maybe their hike to Calm or something alluding to that, or maybe even another question that arises, like another teaser, something that will get us thinking for another year.
Yes, please. They gotta have that hook, line, and sinker. They gotta sell that content for us. If there's nothing, we're done. There's only so much to go over about Deep Ground and Avalanche that we haven't already talked about. So,
And for intermission, I'm really curious about the actual end boss and what end game is, like the actual reveal that has not been in the trailers yet. And I'm afraid of Sonon's fate.
Yeah.
By the way, but yeah. By the way, before we actually
Wait,
start,
did you say you're afraid?
afraid for him, yeah, for his fate.
Because he's 1000% gonna be the deadest character that's ever been dead ever? For sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
I just
why
clarifying.
then? How he dies? Does
Yeah.
Yuffie need to kill him?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm hoping that whatever Nero does to like warp them all out of deep ground, like he just like accidentally only does half of Sonon's body.
Yeah, that'll be
my God.
that'll be how that happens. It's just a Rick and Morty skit all of a sudden. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They did say there's blood in there, so.
They did. I mean, being crushed and blood going anywhere near Yuffie's face, I think is almost enough.
Before we move on to you guys, I just wanted to throw in something. Something real quick, like
Cool.
a theory I had a while ago, and I really, really, really want your guys' take on this. Remember Melfi?
Mhm.
Remember, it's a possibly, most likely younger sister of Sonan. Memory of a younger sister.
I'm leaning in right now.
Yeah, and you remember the Cerberus Online memory of a younger sister that gets killed?
I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Viz, and I
We've been over
completely
this.
I completely agree with you because it's the connections. Okay,
I'm going to stop you guys. Okay,
No.
I'm going to stop you guys. I'm going to stop you guys because one of the questions is about this.
Oh.
Yes.
So
I saw that one.
Yeah, so we'll answer that question and let you guys go on what you're most looking forward to about intergrade mission. So because I can tell Sleepezi absolutely wants to talk about one thing, I'm going
If my
to
camera
talk
was
about
on,
another thing.
I swear to God, just see me spazzing out over here. I'm like sweating. I got like a damp cloth.
Okay. All right. Fine. We'll come back to you while you simmer down. Kai, what are you looking forward to?
For episode intermission, I'm just really excited to spend some time with Yuffie as a character and find out more about her story and how these events that play out in the DLC affect her as a person. And I'm super excited to see how like Sonon fits into this and how that relationship that they have together kind of impacts her as well as a character. I want to see some development for her there. I want to see that also like affect her and change her and help her grow as a character into part 2 essentially, and not just being this character that yes, she's a materia, hunter, or she's a thief, she's a ninja, she's from Wutai. Like, we know that stuff. That was our very simple facts about the OG that we get. But she was a side character, and they literally they ran out of time. They couldn't give her the attention that she deserved, so they cut a lot of stuff. So I'm really hoping that we get some more history about her as a character and some character development there, because, like you said, I do think that I hope. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Sonon, but I think that he could potentially die, and that's really going to impact her as a character. And I know I keep bringing this up, especially too on the podcast. We talked about this, how, Melfi, they show that scene in the trailer, and essentially we don't know if that's Sonon's sister, or I think we said somebody had said that it could potentially be Yuffie's mother. If you matched up the dates of everything, potentially she could be Yuffie's mother. I don't think that she's Yuffie's mother. It could be Sonon's sister. But there's a line that Yuffie says, and she says I'm not your sister, right? When they're on the train or something together. I can't remember right exactly, but she does say that. And it could be that he, might have slipped and called her that, and, thinking that they're similar or something and there's a connection there. But essentially, if he ends up passing away or whatever happens, there's tragedy there. Maybe it's because, he's has rage because they have to fight against Scarlet, and he knows that it was Scarlet was responsible
He was
for
there. Yeah. He was
like
there.
his
He saw
sister's
it.
death, right? So I hope that we get something there. I hope that I think it's going to be super tragic, and I just that blood curdling scream at the end of the trailer kind of says it all for me, and I'm just super excited to see, I guess, what happens with the story. And yeah, just spending a lot of more time with Yuffie and playing as her as well, because I think the battle system, especially with the synergized like attacks,
yes.
is kind of like a preview of what we're getting in the future. Fingers crossed that we're going to see these team up attacks in the subsequent parts. I think that the combat will be improved, and yeah, I think that's the most exciting thing that are the things that I'm most excited for intermission. And for Intergrade, I'm just excited to go back and play this, with the HD door textures and the skybox. Hopefully they fixed it, because it was kind of blurry in the original. And also the slums underneath was like, I was like, what is happening
The
here?
slums underneath.
Yeah.
When you're like on the platform. I was like, anyway, I hope they fix that. Super interested to see. Can't wait to play it to see. But that's not like, obviously, like that's not the end all be all to this game, obviously. But and also to play it in 60 FPS. Like I think that the combat is really going to shine with 60 FPS, because we're gonna it's gonna feel so much snappier, I think. It's gonna be super smooth, and yeah, and also potentially new VR missions if we're gonna get that Vice VR mission or something. I don't know how, how is he going to fit into all this? And I think that's pretty much it for me.
So,
and obviously, yes, an end credit scene, but like,
Yeah.
I would be okay if they don't give us too much for that. I would be okay with it if they didn't. If they do, it's like an added bonus. You know what I mean?
So something I forgot to mention because of just a cluster that was the beginning of this episode is that in the intergrade copies that shipped early, we do know that the Vice fight does not appear to be available in intergrade without the intermission DLC, which I mean obviously makes sense, but that does also allude to the potential possibility that the Vice fight is unlocked as a result of doing the intermission side quest, which has precedent in Final Fantasy 15. You get access to more stuff if you complete the DLC. So we don't know though. We won't know until I guess the day of.
Yeah.
Sleepezi, what are you most looking forward to in intermission? And then we'll ask some questions.
So I definitely did not write like an entire like page of like notes as you guys were talking about points that you made that I want to discuss as well. I'm not going to go into all of it, but I will start off by saying like I'm definitely with Carl on this. I definitely am excited to see the characters here. I cannot recall a time that I've been more excited just to get to know characters in a DLC expansion of a game that I am pretty much having to repay for. Like I'm not like it to me. This is more than worth it to experience Yuffie, to see where she grows. I want Square to just unload this concept of we're introducing this for the characters. Like that was one of the biggest things for me in the last video I made is that the Rufus and Wutai and Avalanche connection that I was making there is not for like lore, like, oh, look at this connection to this. It's like, no, this is making a character like intricate, filled with like different motivations, different drives, different experiences of characters that we already know and already love. And I just want so much more of that. I want Square to like put the pedal down on this DLC to just say definitively that we can do so much with this if you just let us do it. It's like, this is like, Remake was the wholesale pitch of like, we're changing things, but I want them to show us now why they are changing things. It's like, we're doing this for the better of the story. That's what I'm 100% sold on. Somebody mentioned Melfi, and you already went into that, both of you, a little bit. I think it definitely is Sonan's sister. I don't think that the timing allows for anything else. But I think what we notice about Melfi, and this just goes right back into it, and this is why I fully believe in what I just said.
Can I just ask the question that's Melfi related, and then we'll just go into that?
No, this is separate. This is a separate point.
Okay.
This is a separate point. Okay, is that Melfi stands up to the Crab Warden. She stands in the way of the Crab Warden, and she dies because of it. And you mentioned that that Sonan makes mention of this comparison between Yuffie and Melfi. And I think what Sonan is trying to sell her on is like, you need to fight for this, and this reason. And this is what my sister stood for, and that's what I see in you. And the thing about what we know about the rest of the story from Remake is that Barrett's motivation, a lot of the characters' motivations growing in Remake are revenge-based. And this is the conclusion of like, this is Sonan setting up for that same experience that the characters already had in Remake. So they're lining up the goals and aspirations of the party with Yuffie's arc in this, so that they're all on the same page when they get to that story. That's my opinion, is that Yuffie is experiencing this isn't revenge. We don't want to do the same thing over and over again. We have to find a new way to solve a fundamental problem. This like constant repeat of horrible events. What Clark is mentioning and what Viz was also hinting at is that Shulk is Melfi. And the reason why that is, to me, almost, I don't want to say it's 100%, but right when we first saw her, I was like, that sister is the perfect age for Shulk. Like same, almost similar hairstyle to Shulk. And then the other thing is that there's a lot of other Dirge Cerberus parallels in the game. And Biggs has a parallel with Shalua, who, for those who are unfamiliar with Shulk, is Shalua's sister. She's looking for Shulk, and she knows that she's in deep ground. And Sonan is sort of like, oh, I've lost my sister, but he thinks she's dead. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that Shalua has a mirrored sequence in Dirge in Remake with Biggs. So they kind of recycle her character arc for a different character. To show off in Biggs. And because for that reason alone, I think that they're also going to probably change the character of Shulk. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's 100% for certain, but it would definitely bring a more human note to why we're in deep ground in the first place. It's not like, hey, look, it's deep ground. Like there's a character drive there immediately for the characters to want to be involved in what's happening. That's just a random thought. I don't know if there's more to elaborate, Viz. I know that you probably had some things to say about that because that was a theory that you were saying. But that I totally see that happening. It doesn't need to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
So my basic idea, it's more like an idea, not really completely constructed super theory or something. But I just saw the parallel between Dirge Cerberus Online and Sonan's memory of a little sister that died by the hands of Shinra.
Yes.
And it is possible that he's also a tool in a bigger scheme that we're part of. And this is also where Babyseal
This is a fantastic idea. This is fantastic.
Babyseal came to mind again because he's not really so fond of Jidye.
I don't trust him.
Babyseal, you're still thinking that Jidye is something of a double agent of sorts, or you don't trust him, right?
I don't.
Yeah, and he's the one that initiates this whole working together, this collaboration between Uta and Avalanche for getting the ultimate materia, right?
Yes,
It's
So
like it's a trap almost.
it's a trap.
yeah,
It's a
trap.
Shulk
Sonon
trap.
is and Sonon is the bait kind of, but he doesn't know.
For those who don't know did I just get cut off?
Nope.
Did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I
Sorry,
wouldn't
I
do
was.
that
You
to
know
you.
what? I looked at the stream and your mouth was still moving, but it was delayed, and I was like, he's
yeah,
still
it was,
speaking.
yeah.
That's such a good idea. So people, for just very quickly, I'm not going to go into this.
Please,
I'm not going to go into this. What you're saying, and for those who don't know what the Dirge of Cerberus multiplayer is it's an event that takes place in Dirge of Cerberus around the time that the story that we're seeing right now is unfolding in Deep Ground. It's a little bit later. It's actually probably after the DOC multiplayer. Because of the timing of the swords and everything like that we can get into. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there was a main story to Dirge of Cerberus, and then the online multiplayer had a story explaining the function of Deep Ground, essentially, where all of the antagonists are from, and how they conspire, essentially, to overthrow Shinra that is in control of Deep Ground so that they can revolt, because they're all experiments down there. And they want to be free from the confines of Shinra and do whatever they want. So what Viz is describing is that there's a function of Deep Ground in order to sort of lay the groundwork for the plan, is that one of the characters who we've been mentioning, Shulk, has this ability called Synaptic Net Dive, which allows her to create memories inside of another person. Now, they're not necessarily like new memories. They're not necessarily, we don't know whether or not they are new or not, but it's sort of implied that they're her memories that she's using as a ploy for the character to incentivize characters to do bad things, to initiate their plan of overthrowing things. So what Viz is suggesting is that Shulk uses this ability of hers to plant the idea into somebody's mind that this is the ultimate materia, even is something that exists, or something to that matter, something to get them into Deep Ground so that they can initiate some sort of plan. And from what we've seen, like, I think that's one of the most underrated character abilities. I think that a lot of people think it's stupid, but I think it has a huge amount of character drive, like just innately, because it's memory based. Like, you're fooling somebody into thinking that something is happening and they're feeling like real emotions and stuff like that. And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic ability. I would love to see that be the motivation of the character. And I've actually talked Clark's ear off about this exact idea of, like, what if, like, Usher is like Sonin or something like that, which people who don't know who Usher is, he's the fictitious character that only the main character can see. And it's caused by Shulk's ability. She, like, talks to the player through that character to fool them into thinking this and that. But yeah, I'm so on board with that. You're not even, this is a joke. Shulk should be in the game. And that's one of my biggest calls, is that I think Shulk and Azul are 100% going to be a part of the game. Sorry.
Are you?
I love it.
Are you
I'm done.
good? Okay.
I'm good. I've run on way too long. I see
Okay.
the stick coming out to bat me out.
First question from Lily Bunny. I mentioned earlier that I know people theorize Melfi could be Yuffie's mother, but is there a reason we don't think she could potentially have been Yuffie's older sister? And so can you guys find official confirmation that Melfi is Sonon's sister? Because
No.
I've been looking for a little bit while we were all talking, but the Lily Bunny's idea is predicated on the fact that possibly Melfi is Sonon's girlfriend, and that when possibly Sonon calls, calls Yuffie his sister because, maybe he was married to Melfi. And I actually don't think that can be disproven by anything official.
Why? Wait.
No,
So Melfi is actually Yuffie's sister since there's the relationship between Sonon. So he just considers Yuffie by default a sister because he was married to somebody that she was related to?
Right. So, like, for instance, my wife's sister I consider to be
Your sister.
My sister. Yeah. So it could be something
Okay.
along those lines.
I would say that, and not it's coming from the guy who looks at yellow and purple flowers. I think they planted the seed with the sister thing specifically to lead you to believe that Melfi is just the sister.
Right.
I don't necessarily see any reason to go into that particular amount of like character building for Yuffie because she already has a pretty solid dynamic of drive with her father, and Sonon is somewhat connected to Godo is connected to Sonon, who Godo is Yuffie's father, the head of Wutai, essentially. I think there's enough there structurally to build on an interesting dynamic. I don't think I could see and this is just me speaking personally. It's more like the Sephiroth backstory sort of thing, where it's like I don't necessarily see that elaborating on the character in any way that you couldn't do in a different way. But that's just me, my opinion about it. But if it happens, I don't think I would be disappointed or weirded out by it.
I have one argument against this, and that's the introduction scene in the first trailer. Why would Sonon introduce himself so formally to Yuffie if they
there
know
you go.
each other so well?
There you go. That's a Viz snipe right there. He's like, this is the logistics coming in. I'm speaking from the heart, and he's like, there's something about this.
So and this is something that it really helps to have broken down the Japanese trailer onto, because it very much clarifies this, that in the very first intermission trailer, which was the Intergrade trailer that hit on the State of Play, it's vague who's being introduced to who when Sonon is in the basement with the other Avalanche members and Yuffie, but it's very clear, especially in the Japanese version, that Sonon is meeting Yuffie in that basement. So that's a potential counterpoint to the argument. But I do think it's interesting that like just pretty much everybody has kind of assumed that Melfi is Sonon's sister, but we don't actually have technical confirmation of that. And that's so it's at least a very good find. I'm leaning towards it's just a common naming like convention in Wutai, but
that's what I was thinking as well. It could be some like a greeting, you know what I mean, when they are all brothers and sisters, and that's what they refer to each other as. But Yuffie is trying to break away from that, and she doesn't feel like she belongs. I don't know, like she's just kind of like been ostracized or something, and now she's trying to regain back this I don't know, like their perception of her or something like that. So maybe she doesn't want to be associated with them, or she, you know what I mean? So she's saying, I'm not, he says, oh, something like we're together, sister, or something like that, and she's just like, no, I'm not your sister, because I don't want to be referred to as that, because I'm not that person. I'm not what you think I am, because she's trying to be something different. She doesn't want to be what other people think that she is, you know what I mean? Or she's trying to break free from that.
See,
I don't know.
I love that kind of stuff, like the character motivations that get fleshed out. And I think a lot of times that's kind of the where Final Fantasy hits the most, or Final Fantasy VII hits the most, is when they're kind of expressing these motivations without a lot of explicit dialogue. So yeah, I'm with you there. So okay,
it's also the way that just to answer a comment, complex. It's the way that Sonnen is turned. He's turned and facing Yuffie, and that's when he introduces himself. He's specifically speaking to her during the introduction. So it's not his introduction is solely to her. And earlier also, what's her name? Nelly. Neo. Neo says like, "Oh, like, good, you're back." So Sonen's already been there, and Yuffie just in the scene before or the moment before has introduced herself to the Avalanche party. So Sonen's actually already been there, for quite some time.
Well, it's because
or an undetermined amount of time.
Well, it's because he's Marco.
Well, yeah, and everybody else is an usher.
So okay,
this is all taking place in a first soldier deep ground simulation. So
I will look. So okay. One thing I will say is
the
that
whole remake series,
because I know that Viz has actually seen this screenshot. That we do see a little bit of a robed figure in the Intergrade footage, and it was actually tweeted as well. And
I tweeted it as well.
Yeah, you tweeted it, and I can say that very specifically. I did a very, very frame by frame analysis. Each of the robed figures has a different a tear pattern on their model. Like even if you Sunamods, I think could probably tell you this too, but the actual meshes are different for number 2 and number 49.
That's sick.
Only slightly, I think.
That's so sick.
And so I guarantee you that the one that gets run into is in fact Marco. And there is a somewhat, I don't know, a silly theory that I've seen a couple times on Reddit from a couple different people that in fact Sonon might be one of the Genova clones. Because they've got all that.
He's got a good jaw for it.
Yeah, he does. He really he looks just kind of because everybody says he looks kind of like Zach and. Okay, sorry. I obviously am not buying into any of that, but Lily Bunny, that was actually a really good question. Thank you for asking, and I think it actually if it ends up being true. And we've all been wrong about Melfi being Sonon's sister, which I think could happen. I will definitely blast you the credit all over the internet because that's pretty sharp, pretty sharp. And I just heard a noise, so somebody. Mercedes hosted me. Thank you so much, Mercedes. Next question, and I'm excited about this question. What are the odds of Omega Weapon being referenced at any point in the remake project?
I have no comment on this.
My only comment is that this is part of the end of this How to Remake the Future analysis series.
Okay. So you're putting at what, 80, 90, Undo, 99%?
Oh,
are we on the same page with that?
100% is somewhere in the remake.
Yeah,
this is my prediction. 100%.
I'm at 100% too.
I think we're all unironically at a hundo here, which is scary coming from us.
I can't even. Yeah, Kai might not even.
Not a good thing.
I might not even care. I don't even think he cares. He's like, whatever.
I think we talked in one of
about
our podcasts about this.
An Omega Weapon.
Oh,
would you like to see Omega Weapon in remake?
Yeah,
not the likelihood, but yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, what's bad? I mean, like it's weird that it's the only it's like since 8, all the main series titles have had Omega weapons.
Mhm.
So what's going on?
Well,
You know?
okay, come on. Like this is bait.
We're about to like go down another rabbit hole here.
Yeah,
You know,
I
this
don't.
is, I will say that this is one of those things that almost every major theory crafter, and I've talked to most of them, agrees that Omega Weapon has a really solid chance of being kind of like not just referenced, but like the end game of a certain villain whose name rhymes with Clefairoth, you know, and and so
Oh my god.
I think
The easy way to explain this and why I think most people think about it in this way is that at the end of Advent Children, this is what was my first my big first hit in my first video is that Advent Children Sephiroth describes his plan to Cloud to corrupt the life stream, and then using the planet as a vessel will sail the cosmos.
Exactly.
And the thing is that Dirge of Cerberus hadn't been out yet, and this was not the original plan of Sephiroth, or at least divulged to us in such a clear and concise way of like events. And what is Omega, right? Omega is a vessel for the life stream, the planet's life stream. At the end of the story is corrupted by what I theorize in later videos to be negative life stream associated, which is an association to Sephiroth, which is associated through Nero, who is in this game with purple. By the way, I don't want to get on that, but that's where literally the setup for what Sephiroth wanted to do in AC is. It's literally that story. It's literally that endgame being told through the mechanism of weapons in Dirge of Cerberus. So the likelihood of what Sephiroth, especially in Remake, when he's looking at like this nebula and being like, I want this. Like, this is what I want. It's like, that's what you wanted in AC. You wanted to go sail the cosmos and you're staring into space. It's like, I want to go here. This is where we want to end up. I'm 100% sold that like that's an allusion to the same plan. This is just an elaboration on that same drive that Sephiroth has to a degree.
Yeah.
I think that was like the first like major connection that I think people saw from like the compilation as far as Sephiroth's drive. I think a lot of us were super focused on that right at the beginning when Remake first came out because he was widely mysterious. It was like, what is Sephiroth doing through the game? So I think a lot of people wanted to just immediately pin that idea down to like figure out what the motivations of that character were. And that seems to be something consistent through the compilation so far that he's involved in.
So, ours says that makes even more sense if we consider planet to be synonymous with live stream. And we actually have reasons to think that's not necessarily true. But
Stars.
I don't think we have time to divulge that. So maybe in a month when we're done with all this,
when we're all sleep deprived and our sleep caught up.
So I'm gonna go to the next question. We're gonna do 6 more questions, quick answers, and then call it.
I copied all the questions, and I also see only 6 questions remaining. So
Thank you for double checking my work.
Just so he doesn't skip a couple.
Yeah. Every time I always feel guilty when I get off the call with Viz because it's so clear he has so much more to say. He's like, hopefully we can sit down for longer and next time, and I'm just like, it's been 5 hours. But
I'm on the same page with Viz. I think it's so difficult to talk about theory crafting this game so casually because you're theoretically talking about like 6-7 different pieces of content at the same time. It's like, well, if you don't know what the mobile game is, you got to go into that, and then it's just a huge info dump when you talk about this stuff.
And to be clear, that's for specifically like deep divers and like lore guys. Like, just like Nier, you can just play the main series games and you're gonna know the general idea of what's happening.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have the general experience. And so I don't want everybody here to think that in order to enjoy any of the stuff that gets released, you have to do all the stuff that we have done. That is absolutely categorically untrue. In the OG, and this is from KG Plays, in the OG, first instance with Yuffie is a fight. Do you think we could see something similar in the remake? Do you think our first, basically, do you think we're going to fight Yuffie in remake part 2? Or do you think they'll change that out?
Oh my god. I just had an amazing idea. Yes, I think so. What if she teaches the party the team mechanic thing? That's the intro to the team mechanic for the party. I think that would be a great way to do it.
She's so fast, we'll have to team up to catch her.
Right. No, she's like, well, now practice like with me. I don't have a partner. You guys have to like figure this out with me. And then that's when you're going to learn about the mechanic.
That's a good idea. Oh, that's a great idea. I love that. I was thinking like Barrett gets like a cannon arm and shoots like Red 13 out of his arm to catch her because she's so fast.
An 8 reference. Dog launcher. That would be great.
I hope so. I hope it's a kind of, you know, I hope it's a fight. I hope there's it feels like the idea of making her optional is impossible at this point, but I did like that. I hope there's some callback to like the struggle that you had to go through. Like you had to answer those questions in the right order, or else she's just gone. I like that. I hope they have a callback to that at least.
You cut out right when you said what you were hoping would be in the game.
That's okay.
What was it? Just say that.
I hope there's a callback to that game. To the like set of questions that you had to ask.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Kyle? I think so. Yeah. I want it to happen similar to how it happens in the game. I think it's iconic, but I think they're going to leave it as a battle, but they might change it up a little bit.
They've got to make it like not optional. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Because like, she's not going to be optional.
Yeah, she's not going to be an optional character anymore.
Yeah. I think it'll be changed. I hope that it is a boss battle and that she doesn't just like all of a sudden just join, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Somebody mentioned a really great idea. Sorry.
It looked like it's a battle, but then one of the others, maybe Barrett or someone else, just draws a fast one and then just disarms her, or does something else that just makes the battle obsolete or something like that. Just for the fun of it. Like Yuffie is there, I'm gonna steal your materia, and then just I don't know.
It like semi starts a battle and then like completely like I don't know, that just fakes us out. That would be
or Cloud just blocks her and throws her just off somewhere. I don't know.
He literally just launches her into the forest and she just goes flying away. I'm fine with that. Joking Yuffies, I think, would be great still. I know that there's super serious Yuffie in this, but a little comedy from her wouldn't be such a bad thing, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd also be for a battle, that's fine.
I think she's already presented some comedy, so I mean, you mixing up the tragedy and the screaming, that it actually just makes it more heartbreaking. Like when I saw her like upset, I was like, am I gonna
She wasn't upset, she was bawling.
Yeah,
she was done.
Am I gonna be okay with the trauma they're inflicting on this child? Whoa, you know? It was pretty nuts. Okay. Question. And this is from Arzomnia, and I love this question. Given how angry Barrett becomes when Kyrie claims Avalanche is working with Wutai, could Barrett attacking, pursuing Yuffie be the impetus for her joining the party this time around? That is interesting to me. I really like. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if necessarily like the impetus, like for sure, like they're gonna go hunt her down or anything. But I do want to see how Barrett responds if he ever finds out that in fact Avalanche was working with Wutai, because that was seemed really upsetting to him. And it seems like so the fact that you guys can't hear Sleepezi, just so you know, isn't a result of me silencing him. I know that's happened in the past in a cheeky way. He's just gone. I don't know why, and that's fine. He's probably just.
I'm here. I'm actually just being respectful to other people to talk first. I've been fucking going for a while.
It was the silence. It startled me. I was like, oh man, I hope he's okay.
I'm starting to realize that the amount of hype that this game is generating for me is making me physically shake. And as this conversation continues and more questions are introduced, I am falling into deeper of a silence, being like, when is that exactly? That's exactly how I feel.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Well, that's a great question, Ars. What do you guys think?
What this instantly reminds me of is Walker in Final Fantasy X, when he learns that Riku is now dead. Doesn't necessarily mean that he learns that she's from Wutai, but more like the whole picture. That she might be part of this whole thing that made Avalanche the bad guy, and the connection to Wutai in the first game, because he doesn't really know the whole thing. And she's there, kind of on the other side. So yeah, this could be definitely an interesting conversation.
That would be. I'm not going to say anything more to that other than Rufus's involvement with that, and Yuffie knowing about that would seriously throw that into like a deeper level of sort of turmoil in terms of like the dynamic of their relationship, because it's like he's not wrong, and Yuffie, but she was trying to do something good, but she's just immediately associated with something that she knows wasn't good. That would be a whole interesting, and that again, what we're talking about is two characters that literally haven't had a dynamic.
That's a great question. Very thought provoking.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I think it'll change how the group reacts to Yuffie, and it could change their like interpretation of her. Especially Barrett as well, being more apprehensive to like letting her join the group. Maybe I think we'll see that a lot, just with the dialogue and like the cutscenes and how they react to one another. I don't know about if that's what like makes the team find her and track her down. You know what I mean? I don't know about that, but definitely they will definitely treat her differently. Well, Barrett will. Absolutely. And we might have other characters defending her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe Aerith, you know, Tifa even. I'm not sure. I'm just like thinking in my head here, but I think that's a great question. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely going to see some of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, you just fucking hit the nail on the head. And like not even a joke. So one of the things that I always thought was so stupid in the compilation is that they make Yuffie's and Aerith's relationship very highlighted in Advent Children, when there wasn't really any development of that relationship.
Right.
Where she wears multiple different pink ribbons on herself because she had the book says they had a close relationship. What if she's the one to defend Yuffie? What if she would be in that position because she would know who she is and what her intent is, and just build that relationship so that when she actually does die, like it actually does affect Yuffie.
Yeah.
So this is this fan fiction that we're writing, Square, better absolutely be the end result of this game.
And you know, people often talk about Yuffie's reaction to Aerith's death being
hard,
being the kind of emotional reaction, and there is very little context given based on their experiences in the game, but it is very intense. So yeah, I do think definitely going to be a big relationship dynamic between those two in future parts. Okay. Do you guys think, and this is from Vidra33, you guys think we will see what happens to Wedge in the Shinra Tower in intermission?
That's a good question. I think so.
I hope so. And we might know or see who catches him. Maybe he falls down into the open doors of a helicopter or something.
Okay.
Just right in there.
Yeah,
Catch him!
right. Hey, Wedge, come on here.
The blades! No!
maybe you know, finally, like right as he gets knocked out the window, the other half of Sonon's body materializes right below him to soften the fall.
Oh my god.
Dude, that would suck if that pile of trash that is what that is that Yuffie is staring at and not anything else that trash mound if just Wedge just landed right on top of it after she started crying. That would be right.
It would break
that
the
feels
tension.
Naturally.
It would break the tension. He's like, "Ow, that smarts," or something so dumb.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Do you want a DeChow bean?" And then it's a sensory bean. This fan fiction is definitely going in the right direction. We are all on board and 100% believe this is happening.
An honest answer to that question is, I was like maybe 90% that we were going to get an answer to that question in intermission, and then at the final trailer, I was like 60%. And then at the latest footage, like the actual footage that was released, I'm back to like 90%. I'm not gonna.
What if he shows up in the Genesis cavern?
Yeah, he falls right into there and wakes him up.
Yeah, he wakes up and he's like,
Wedge
"Whoa!"
is responsible for all of this.
What's going on here,
The
guys?
Wedge is Jar Jar Binks of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Okay. So I mean, we all think we're all like, we're pretty sure, right?
I actually think
that he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just don't know how or who.
Yeah.
But I read somewhere somebody was saying potentially the other Avalanche HQ members save him or something. I don't know where that came from, but oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Wedge is alive, but I think
they all die. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
So Biggs is just gonna wake up by himself and be like, "Fuck, dude, everybody's gone, and I'm just just here for some. I'm just chilling."
Exactly. Why did you save me? You know what I mean? Like, you should have just let me die.
Just Dark Wedge.
Right.
Just
He's
like
gonna
the
be so,
darkest Wedge.
like have PTSD and
Dude, I love
I
that.
don't know.
He reverts to his Badger character from Breaking Bad.
From Breaking Bad. I feel like there's a fine line between theory crafting where it's hard to tell from like an audience perspective, like how serious we're being. It's like, how much of a leap of faith are we asking
He's
them
gonna be.
constantly
I think
take?
most of our fans
He's
are pretty smart though. Like we have some fans that I think can understand nuance.
He's gonna wake up and be so depressed. He's just gonna go drink his sorrows at like the Honeybee Inn or whatever, and then get it on with that teacher.
Oh my god!
Oh,
You're so right. You're so right. That's where that story develops.
Please give us a cutscene or something. I don't know.
I like how she mirrors the way that Biggs holds like a broom in the scene where she's talking about him. I was like, why are you doing
Miss
that?
Folia?
Like,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
stop it.
yeah.
I saw 12 hours of Sleepezi's videos. Yeah, that would drive anybody up the wall. So
Yeah.
Okay.
you're in the right place for madness.
All right. So it is like 2:30. So all right. This is from okay, I'm not going to say it. It's great. It's a great username though. I love it.
Ludi Jutsu.
It's beautiful. I get it, and I love the joke of your name. Okay, with the game being 20 plus years old, and most of the fan base who played OG were mostly young adults, teens. What are the chances Square starts taking a more mature tone in the upcoming games? Very high, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna. I think in particular, the next one will be dark and more mature.
And the next one even darker and more mature.
It's that Toy Story 3 formula, baby. Our audience is getting older, and the content is getting juicier, dude.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay. Jet Robin, question. Where do you all believe Final Fantasy VII will introduce Genesis?
Now.
Intergrade.
The answer to that question now.
The answer is in 4 days.
Introduce, yes.
4 days is exactly right. I don't see there. A lot of the issue with me when I first thought that this character was so important to the lore of the story and could be such a huge asset to like contributing to the themes of the game is that we were leaving Midgar, and that bothered me so much. I was like, there's no other time that you want to introduce this guy because there's no other reason for us to see him. There's like, this is the place. Midgar is where he's at. So why are like, there's no reason to bring him up later until you go back to Midgar or something else happens in Midgar. And I was thinking on the way back to Midgar during the infiltration, I was like, that's the only other time that we would ever really get this character. And then Intergrade comes out and I'm like, holy fuck. And it's based off of the section that is so influenced by his character to begin with. And then on top of that, he's referenced in a quote from a character in that area who has a direct connection to him. And I'm just like, there's no way this guy is not showing up. There's just no way. Square is playing a dangerous game here with me. And I feel like if they don't do it now, they will have teased way too much and delivered very under the bar of that particular thing. Will I be disappointed? I will absolutely be disappointed if he doesn't show up. But I think it's necessary at this point. I think this is the necessary step. You've done Vice, you've done Deep Ground, you've done literally everything that everybody didn't want to do. Just take the next step. Close your eyes, Square, and just step off the ledge. I just want you to fall into this. Just do it. I 100% think he's going to show up.
Yeah. I mean, of all the things you could have called this, you chose Intermission. Like, it didn't even need a name. Like, we all thought it was called Intergrade. Like, we didn't even, like, it was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So they made a choice. And they made a choice to make it something about a play.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so for sure. Yeah. I'm and
I can quit after that, by the way. I'm done. If Genesis shows up, there's nothing more to say.
Now how much he shows up, I'm not thinking like a boss fight. I'm not thinking he's awake. I'm not thinking anything like that.
No, I think he awakens here. I think that's what happens.
Well,
I think this is the awakening.
I am not in that totally. I am like, we might see like an eyelid flinch or something. Like that's kind of where I see. I don't think that this means that he's going to be the persistent issue all next game.
No.
Yeah.
But a teaser.
Kingdom Hearts style, like, who is this guy? Or like what's about to happen? Like, just set us up for it.
We
like
the player.
Just let us know that he exists. That's all we need.
That's what this is all leading up to. We are Genesis. That's it. That's it.
Wow.
Sorry for the Kingdom Union Cross spoiler just now. But
I didn't get it. I would have never known.
Good.
And if you
Good.
didn't say anything.
good. Okay.
I watched all the scenes, so it's fine.
I don't know.
Oh, good.
How any. I did, and I have no idea what happened. Just because I'm not familiar. It's not a knock on the story. I just generally have no idea what's happening in that game.
Okay.
Well,
and
nobody blames it.
Okay, and I'm sorry to cut this. I don't want to say short because it's gone on quite a while, and I cannot thank our guests enough for hanging in there with me, and all of you for being supportive. I'm a little scattered today because I got a lot coming up this upcoming week, and so I've just been making things happen, and so we do have some really exciting stuff. All of us on this podcast have a real exciting next few weeks, and so I'm looking forward to what everybody here puts out. And I'm sorry for the technical issues. I'm sorry if I'm cutting out to all of you. I will have that fully addressed by. I have a bunch of new stuff coming in Monday, and I'll be doing some test streams. So by the time Intergrade is out, I will have a very immersive experience for you that I won't be ruining you guys' playthrough by my existence with. So I'm gonna end the stream with this last question, which is from Peter Blade Stroke, and it's for Sleepezi and Schrodingersbabyseal. I don't know who that guy is. Without spoilers for Viz, how excited are you guys for that one track name if it ends up being true? Since it implies two things. Me personally, I'm all in. And
depends on which one it is, because there's one track name that got spoiled on Twitter, and it has to do with the character name from.
That's it. That's the one.
Starts with R.
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh.
That's
the one we're talking about.
Yeah. I'm ultra excited because I personally. So I guess we can just let it out. Diabolic.
Who the fuck saw that coming?
In Japanese has the title. What is the title again? It's something crazy like something with Rayleigh is the.
Here.
Are you guys pulling it up?
You type or you keep talking. I'm gonna keep
pulling it up.
Here.
Oh, heretic, yeah.
Yeah, it's that's right.
Heretic.
It's Heretic Rayleigh. And
yes.
And Rayleigh is a professor in Before Crisis. And
a scientist, I think. Yeah.
A scientist. And so why that's really exciting is that I mean, it could be a reference to colors, because Rayleigh does mean multiple colors, but I think it's more a reference to the character. And why that's exciting is that it's a Before Crisis reference, and
it's not just a Before Crisis reference. She is carrying the plans for Soldier. That's why that character is important. Is she is carrying Soldier plans that Avalanche ends up acquiring at the end of that episode. And we then, I think, I'm assuming that they eventually get that and use it for Raven stuff, which is insane. It's if she shows up, that's her punishment for having lost the file. That's what I'm thinking is the case. Or she just works in Deep Ground, which is pretty insane. It's just such a left field option that, like, I love it. I love it to death. I love the idea of it. I want it so bad. I want you to keep doing that square. If that's actually, and if Alpha is coming, don't even get me started on that character. That's bigger to me than Genesis. If I see her at the end of this, I'm gonna literally lose my mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also find interesting. There's also a connection to Cloud, because he was tasked with protecting.
That's
Rayleigh
right.
and the plans.
That's right. It's so right. I totally forgot about that.
That's
and they mentioned
Cloud almost dies because of the death spell by the Avalanche.
He's a Raven. That's a Raven. I think so. I don't think they're called that yet in the story, but I think
The first occurrence of those, I think.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say myself. First ever showing of those, which is weird. Oh my god, this game is gonna either blow my mind or very under-deliver, but I'm also okay with that. I'm losing my mind for this game, guys.
You know, honestly, like I would have been fine with I would have been replaying this game like nuts just for photo mode, like let alone, you know, extra story stuff. So, you know, I think we're all really excited. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to everybody here, please do. And in the VOD, the heavily edited VOD, which I will release later today or tomorrow, depending on how long it takes me to edit out all of my my technical mishaps. I will include all of those links, so you guys can definitely subscribe, like, etc. Any closing thoughts from any of you? And then while I find who we're rating.
I'm hyped. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Especially after tonight.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I feel like the same way that I felt when like the remake came out. I just feel so similar to how I felt. I just can't wait. I'm super excited. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I haven't been able to sleep actually because I've just been trying to figure everything out in my head and it's just not possible. So
I'm the same way. That like going over and over it again. I think is I told Clark this. I'm done. I'm done theorizing. I don't want to theorize anymore. What I want is the game. I want the game.
Absolutely. And not too much longer, guys. We only have a few more days. So
unbelievable. It's just such an exciting time. I like what you just said. Remake was like exciting enough for me, but I think because of the amount of time and the amount of like talking about just where this could all go and having so many of the things that I personally have found enjoyment in talking about and discovering are like huge aspects of this game. I felt like this was some sort of like waking dream. Like Avalanche and Deep Ground were never things like I ever thought would ever happen. Like in my wildest dreams, I thought they were going to be just passing remarks. And then Intergrade showed up. Right, exactly. So like this happening is bigger to me than, and I hate to put so much onto DLC. Like I really think that that's unfair, but there's so much of what I have been doing that's in this game and what I care about with the larger scope of Final Fantasy VII and what I hope that they succeed in. This game needs to be the trigger pulled on like everything that they've been trying to sell people on. And I'm so there for the journey. I just hope that other people like it. I really hope that they do a good job, and I can't be more excited about it.
Good. I'm the same way. Very excited. And I think we'll all be talking a lot still to come. Everybody in here will be probably in, and I know a couple people are just going to be camping out in my stream because they couldn't get a PS5, and you know, some of those people are going to be joining that conversation too. You know, more as we approach. I'm going to call it here, and I'm going to end this stream by rating Lolly Bunny, who was previously on the stream and asked a great question. She's doing a charity stream, and that's why she couldn't be here with us today. And so if we could all raid and show all the love that you guys always show me, you could show that to her and the charity, that would be exceptional. So thank you guys so much. Very, 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 very grateful for all your love and support as always. And
let's get hyped for this game.
It's gonna be one heck of a week.
It's happening.
Oh my god, this week is nuts, guys. Like I'm not even going to be able to keep up with everything because with the Summer Game Fest and E3 plus playing Intergrade and having the podcast, I'm just not going to be able to do it. And I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to.
Yeah.
and I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like intergrade and intermission is the most important thing to me right now. And obviously, we are a Final Fantasy VII Remake podcast, so I really want to finish that. And Viz and I, just to plug right before you guys go, Viz and I will be doing a first impressions episode, which will be hopefully released the week after the game comes out. So
Nice.
you can tune in for that. It'll be awesome. And then the week after that, we do have the 3 voice actors from Avalanche headquarters coming on for a Avalanche headquarters roundtable episode, which is going to be absolutely incredible. And then the week after that, we are hopefully doing a full spoiler cast series. So hopefully 3 episodes. And Baby Seal is going to be there for that first episode. And hopefully Sleepezi for episode 2. But I'll, reach out to your people about that. We'll get them in touch.
Keep
So
in
looking
touch,
for that. And if you guys don't already know as well, we are giving away a digital deluxe edition copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. The details are on our Twitter profile. All you have to do is like, sub, and retweet that. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. I think it rated on its own just at the end of your...
That's okay.
Okay.
You